Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Beast Control. I'm really not a master of training. Chapter 61. That night, the adventurers' bar next to the pet market. Chu Shiren and Zhu Bingqing, two beautiful scenery lines appeared here. Their appearance instantly attracted the attention of many people, especially those young men who looked like human beings. They were not serious people at first glance, especially one of them, a little yellow-haired man. The little yellow-haired man walked straight towards the two women. "Two beauties, please give me a drink." Many people saw this scene and all showed contempt. How could such a beautiful woman with such temperament pay attention to a little yellow-haired man like you? Just when everyone was expecting that the little yellow-haired man would be defeated and retreated in disgrace, the reality slapped them in the face. One of the beauties who looked quite cold licked her red lips and responded, "2 glasses of fiery rainbow cloud." Fiery Rainbow Cloud is a famous strong liquor in this adventurer's bar. It is also famous for being expensive. 2 glasses of Fiery Rainbow Cloud cost about 1,000 yuan. Almost all beast masters in the venue can afford it, but affording it is one thing to afford to drink, and being able to drink is another thing to afford to treat. In the bar, many young male beast masters saw this scene, and they were surprised and envious at the same time. "It's just 2 cups of Fiery Rainbow Cloud, and I don't lack this little money." Snapping his fingers, calling the waiter, ordering 2 cups of Fiery Rainbow Cloud, the little yellow-haired man asked, "Two beauties, what's the matter with your sudden visit?" "It's really something." Zhu Bingqing pointed to an open private room in the bar. After a while, in the private room, she took a sip of wine, and then continued the topic just now, saying, "What happened in Taluan Villa 2 days ago, you should have known it." "Yeah," the little yellow-haired man nodded. "What do you think of this matter?" Chu Shiren asked. The little yellow-haired man spread his hands. "What else can we do? Sit and watch." "Niu Fenjin, don't be so careless, this matter is not simple." Seeing this, Chu Shiren frowned, and then said seriously, "The Exodus Society has always been active in big cities. This time, their products flowed into Lingshui City. If it is really just an accident, it's okay, but if there are ulterior motives, it will be troublesome. Could it be that they are here for the seal?" The little yellow-haired man named Niu Fenjin frowned unconsciously when he heard this. Zhu Bingqing and Chu Shiren remained silent. Obviously, that's what they thought. "It's better to be safe than sorry," Chu Shiren reminded. "In short, we must take this matter seriously." "How should we take it seriously?" Little yellow-haired Cao Fenjin's brows showed no sign of relaxation. "If it is really a test from the Mechanical Desecration Society, suppressing it directly with thunder may be counterproductive and make them confirm certain things. Let's observe secretly first." Chu Shiren sighed. "If we find out that their goal is indeed the sealed place, we must report it to the clan immediately. After all, this is the place where our ancestors once fought. The place they defended with their lives must not be in trouble." Zhu Bingqing's eyes became extremely cold when he heard this. "These cultists will be uprooted sooner or later." Little yellow-haired Cao Fenjin was also somewhat indignant. Suddenly thinking of something, he asked, "By the way, have the Federation and the Beast Tamer Association been notified?" "I have already notified them." Zhu Bingqing nodded and said, "In fact, the most nervous people about the incident at Taluan Villa should be them. I hope they can also take it seriously." Chu Shiren was a little worried. After chatting for a while, when the matter was almost discussed, Zhu Bingqing suddenly changed the subject and said with a smile on his face, "Niu Calf, I heard that your attainments in formation are not bad. You don't know how much I am." The little yellow-haired Niu Fenjin rolled his eyes at Zhu Bingqing, and then said in a firm tone, "Also, how many times have I reminded you not to call me Niu Calf? I have a name, Niu Fenjin." "Okay, Cao Dong," Zhu Bingqing said. The little yellow-haired Niu Fenjin almost couldn't help but curse directly. Considering that a good man doesn't fight with a woman, considering that he never seemed to win in a quarrel, he decisively chose to stop and focused his attention on Chu Shiren. Shiren is still good, quiet and gentle, a lady from a noble family. Unlike Zhu Bingqing, who looks arrogant and cold, she definitely has the potential of a witch. Seeing Niu Fenjin's cheeks flushed with anger and speechless, Chu Shiren shook her head helplessly. "Okay, stop making trouble. In fact, this time, I have something to ask you for help." "What is it? Just tell me." Your business is my business. Niu Fenjin heard this and immediately came up to him attentively. The difference in treatment shown is too obvious. Ignoring Niu Fenjin's attentiveness, Chu Shiren said the second purpose of this trip in a normal tone, I came to you today. In addition to the matter of the mechanical society, there is another thing that needs your help. She continued to say, I have a student. Next, Chu Shiren briefly recounted Li Qian's affairs. Of course, she did not reveal the fact that the latter had researched the evolution method of Koi to blue-scale dragon. She only said that she needed his help to learn the Frostfire array. Frostfire array. After hearing Chu Shiren's request, Niu Fenjin fell into deep thought. It's still a bit difficult. When Zhu Bingqing heard this, he immediately sneered, can you do that, you little fool? It's a bit difficult for me to arrange the frost and fire array, but it's not that difficult. Niu Fenjin rolled his eyes at Zhu Bingqing and said arrogantly, but this is only for geniuses like me. Ordinary people, if they don't have some basic knowledge, it may not be easy to master. You just have to discipline him. Whether he can learn it or not depends on his own destiny. Chu Shiren nodded, not demanding anything. And she knew very well that with Li Qian's talent, it shouldn't be difficult to learn. He can master the more difficult evolution methods. Learning a frost and fire formation is not to say a piece of cake, but it's not much different. Next, Li Qian's contact information was given to Niu Fenjin, and the three of them prepared to leave. Before leaving, Niu Fenjin approached him eagerly, Shiren, I'll take you back to school. No need, we drove the car ourselves. Zhu Bingqing shook the key and said a little shyly. Chu Shiren smiled lightly, gave a grateful look, and then politely refused. 3 days later, the cultivation base was established. Li Qian looked at Huang Mao in front of him and couldn't help but look puzzled. Why do the people recommended by teachers Zhu Bingqing and Chu Shiren seem a bit unreliable? Although it is said that people should not be judged by their appearance, the temperament of this guy in front of him is too much like a street kid. This person can arrange a frost and fire array. Well, what do you call this little brother? Li Qian looked at Huang Mao and asked. He was subconsciously planning to call the other person, little yellow hair, but when the words came to his lips, he realized something was wrong and immediately changed his words. And the other person is not a little yellow hair. If you look carefully, you can see that he is at least in his 20s. If you want to call it, you have to call it big yellow hair. Niu Fenjin couldn't help but twitch his lips when he heard Li Qian's uneasy address. You've already said the word, little, don't think I didn't hear it. Of course, at this moment, even if you hear it, you can only pretend not to hear it. Otherwise, it would be even more embarrassing. My name is Niu Fenjin. Niu Fenjin said calmly. Li Qian immediately changed his words and greeted him again. Brother Niu, hello, welcome to the Zhaoyang training base. Although the yellow-haired Niu endeavor in front of me seems unreliable, since it was introduced by teachers Chu Shiren and Zhu Bingqing, I chose to believe it first. The two teachers will definitely not dazzle themselves. Kid, your training base looks just so-so. Niu Fenjin followed Li Qian into the training base. He glanced around and then made a casual comment. When Li Qian heard this, he didn't mind. Strictly speaking, what the other party said was not wrong. My own son training base did suffer a lot because the old breeder passed away and the descendants of the old breeder had no intention of doing this. There are no high-value pet beasts in the base. It looks a bit shabby. With a faint smile, Li Qian said calmly, I just took over this breeding base and haven't had time to arrange it yet. It's normal that it won't fall into the eyes of Brother Niu. Ahem. Seeing that Li Qian was so polite, always graceful and gentle, except for the initial slip of the tongue, there was nothing rude about him. If he continued to make sarcastic remarks, he would appear to have no courage, so he changed his tone and said, actually, at your age, it is very rare to be able to own such a large training base. Although this training base looks a bit failed, its scale and foundation are still there. If it is managed carefully, it will definitely be reborn. Li Qian nodded slightly after hearing this. This guy doesn't look very reliable, but after he opens his mouth, it can still be seen that he is not the kind of idle, ignorant person. Without wasting time, he got straight to the point. Brother Niu, I believe you have already understood the problem I encountered through the two teachers. Niu Fenjin nodded. Do you want to learn the Frostfire array? Yes, Li Qian said with a smile. Of course, it would be best if one could be arranged in my breeding base first. As for the required materials and remuneration, Brother Niu, just ask, I will try my best to satisfy you. Niu Fengjin waved his hand. Materials and remuneration are both trivial matters. Since I promised you, Teacher Chu, I will definitely do my best to arrange it. What I'm more curious about now is, what exactly do you want to do with this Frostfire array? Teacher Chu, you only said that you were assisting in cultivating pet beasts, and you didn't mention the specific details to me. Li Qian followed this topic and answered, it is indeed to cultivate pet beasts. I want to use the frost and fire array to stimulate the energy in a pet beast, thereby stimulating the opportunity for evolution. After hearing this, Niu Fengjin's eyes towards Li Qian changed greatly. At a young age, he has been studying and cultivating, and being able to speak out such theories at least proves that he has learned well. But looking back, this is normal. If they were just messing around, Zhu Bingqing and Chu Shiren wouldn't ask for help. That's it, he agreed, and began to scan around again. So, I don't know, where are you going to place this Frostfire array? Brother Niu, please follow me. After hearing this, Li Qian took the lead and walked forward. Niu Endeavor followed closely behind. Not long after, the two came to an open space not far from the central pond of the breeding base. Li Qian looked around and said, this is it. Niu Fengjin looked at it carefully for a moment, then nodded. There is nothing wrong with this place. Formation matters are only superficial on paper. Withdrawing his gaze, Niu Fengjin thought for a moment and put forward his own suggestion, look, how about we explain it while setting it up? Okay, Li Qian said confidently. Being able to learn through practice was something he could only hope for. Arranging the formation cannot be completed in a short time. So at noon that day, after entertaining Niu Endeavor at the Zhaoyang breeding base, the latter left. After looking at the materials that needed to be prepared, Li Qian summoned An Haonian. An Haonian took the note from Li Qian and looked at it. He couldn't see anything interesting about it, but this did not prevent him from carrying it out seriously. I will prepare them as soon as possible. An Haonian nodded, and then asked, how many sets should I prepare? Prepare 3 sets first. Li Qian thought for a while and replied. I don't know if the Frostfire array will be damaged after evolution. If not, it would be best to just replenish the energy stones and continue using it. If it gets damaged and can no longer be used, that's okay. The materials required to set up the formation are not very precious, and at most they can just set up another one. In short, no matter what, 3 sets of materials are definitely enough for the time being. Considering that Niu Fengjin is a veteran, it shouldn't take long to arrange the formation after the materials are in place, so at this moment, Li Qian had to start thinking about another problem. Which pet animal should be used as a test subject? Theoretically speaking, Lu Changfang's Aaron is the most suitable. Its character is very similar to Kizai, and its willpower is definitely better than other koi. But Aaron came here with the intention of evolving into a blue-scaled dragon. If he rashly evolved it into a Frostfire demon salamander, it would be fine if it succeeded, but if it failed, it would destroy Aaron. How should he explain to Lu Changfang? Therefore, it is best not to touch the existing koi that have good potential and are aiming to evolve into the blue-scaled dragon. As for those salted fish, that is, the koi that cannot even learn to climb waterfalls, even if they take the second evolutionary route, the probability of successful evolution is definitely not high. In this case, it is better to find the test subjects again. Thinking of this, he took out his mobile phone, opened the pet mall, and checked it out. Since it is called the pet mall, there must be pets for sale in it. Li Qian did not waste time searching, but directly entered the name of the koi and searched accurately. Soon, rows of messages appeared on the phone screen. He checked one by one and soon found some koi fish in the mall that seemed to have good qualifications. In fact, if you can enter the pet mall and list it for sale in the mall, these koi are not bad. At least he is the best among the koi fish. Moreover, because there are so many pet animals like koi, even among dwarfs, they can choose many generals. After a brief scan, Li Qian discovered some seedlings with good potential. Just then, a message from a koi fish caught his attention. Able to survive the intimidation skills of the river crocodile for 10 minutes without passing out. Without hesitation, he paid directly and bought the koi. The racial potential of the river crocodile is slightly lower than that of the blue-scaled dragon, but even so, its intimidation skills are not something that a koi can resist. This koi was able to resist for 10 minutes before passing out, which at least proved that its willpower was much higher than that of its peers. It would be most appropriate to buy it and use it as a test subject. In addition, the matter of this koi also gave him a new idea. Can I use intimidation skills to train the willpower of the koi in the base? As for myself, including my parents, there is no pet beast that has mastered intimidation skills, so this is not a problem. Whether it's the Lingshui City Beast Masters Association or teachers Zhu Bingqing and Chu Shiren, they should be able to help. Furthermore, there is no partner Anshi. He told An Haonian about his idea of using intimidation or oppression skills to train his pet's willpower, and the next day, An Haonian brought someone with him. This person is none other than his father and Tianyu. Although Mr. An has been fighting in the mall almost all his life and is not a serious beast master, he is from a wealthy family after all. With the accumulation of various resources, his strength on paper is still very good, not to mention his actual combat power. There is also a sun-eating tiger that has mastered the intimidation skill, which is a more suitable tool pet. Of course, it would be even better if it was a dragon-type beast that could suppress the bloodline of those large numbers of salted fish and koi. Li Qian was quite moved when he saw that the old man was still insisting on helping him train his pet beast despite his age. He led the old man to the central pond. After arriving at the location, the old man wasted no time and directly summoned its initial pet beast, the sun-eating tiger. Looking at the tall and mighty sun-eating tiger, the old man felt a little emotional when he remembered that he was just a little Yanmao when he first contracted it. After summoning the sun-eating tiger, and Tianyu told it Li Qian's request through the soul contract. The sun-eating tiger understood what An Tianyu meant. It came to the pond and looked at the koi inside. There was a trace of human mockery in the tiger's eyes. Being able to display his intimidation skills unscrupulously, and having such a good thing, it is a good way to vent his anger. I just don't know if these little guys can handle it. Of course, whether it can hold it or not is not something it needs to worry about. All it needs to do is follow orders. Big Cat, it's time for us to take action, let the little guys see your power. And Tianyu also glanced at the koi in the pond, and then said enthusiastically. Li Qian also glanced at the many koi carp in the central pond. At this moment, the actions of these koi carp were different. Due to subsequent additions by his parents and An Haonian, the number of koi in the entire central pond has now reached hundreds. Among them, more than 30 have learned waterfall climbing skills under the leadership of Aaron and Tantu and are working hard to practice. Li Qian has already seen these little guys, and some of them have the same potential as Tantu and Aaron. Of course, the current, prosperous, scene is inseparable from the targeted choices of parents and An Haonian. The koi that entered the base later, at least on the surface, were all good seedlings with great potential. In addition, Kizai and Ah Fu, who often lurk in the pond, also play a supervisory role. Faced with the supervision of 2 green-scaled dragons, most of the koi did not dare to be too obviously lazy. The reason why only more than 30 koi have learned the waterfall climbing skill is because some guys have really poor qualifications. Yu Leap cannot learn other skills at all. Among these koi, some are indeed sneaky and slippery and have a lazy nature, while others are hardworking but have no understanding. In the latter, Li Qian will give them a chance. As long as they can persist under the intimidation skills of the sun-eating tiger, the longer it takes, the more likely they will be chosen to try the second evolutionary route. As for the more than 30 koi that have learned the skill of climbing waterfalls, Li Qian is not prepared to exclude them. Through the 2 evolution examples of Kizai and Afu, Li Qian has seen that even the first evolutionary route, that is, evolving into a blue-scaled dragon, also requires willpower. In this regard, Kizai and Ah Fu are the most intuitive comparison. Kizai had stronger willpower and climbed to the top of the waterfall by relying on his own strength, but Ah Fu was unable to do so. He could only climb to about 2/3 of the way. If Kizai hadn't helped to divert part of the waterfall's flow, he would have never been able to climb to the top of the waterfall. So Li Qian has made up his mind to let all the koi undergo intimidation training from the sun-eating tiger. No matter whether you are taking the first evolutionary route or the second evolutionary route. Kizai, Ah Fu, come out. Li Qian ordered softly. He looked at the water surface of the pond. After a moment, the water surface broke open and 2 green-scaled dragons rose into the sky. Gee, you little brat, is so lucky. Looking at the majestic blue-scaled dragon, and Tianyu's eyes flashed and his voice was quite emotional, even a little envious. Think back to the beginning. Well, at the beginning, he also prepared it at home. Although the initial potential of Xiao Yanmao is not very good, the advantage is that the evolution path is clear. As long as you have money, you can stack up to the sun-eating tiger with overlord level potential. Old man, you don't have to be envious. Our breeding base will not be short of blue-scaled dragons in the future. Li Qian said with a smile. He could see what the old man was thinking. Xiao Qian, please stop comforting me. I know my qualifications for controlling beasts. The old man lamented. To be able to reach the current commander level depends on the accumulation of resources. It is basically impossible to break through to the overlord level. Quote, if you can't break through to the overlord level and don't have a new contract position, you won't be able to make a contract even if the blue-scaled dragon is at your fingertips. I can only be envious. Li Qian's eyes flashed, and then he muttered to himself seemingly unintentionally, that's really a pity. You know, dragon beasts are famous for their long lifespans. If they can get evolutionary feedback and contract feedback, maybe they can extend your life by 20 or 30 years. Xiao Qian, what did you say? What about extending life by 20 or 30 years? Li Qian's voice was relatively low, and Tianyu heard it a little vaguely, but the words, extending life by 20 or 30 years, still deeply stimulated him. At his age, what he cares about most is undoubtedly extending his life. It's the blue-scaled dragon. What a pity. Li Qian sighed and said, if you have a new contract position, you can contract a high-potential koi. After the koi breaks through to the blue-scaled dragon, it can evolve through feedback. If you extend your life by 20 or 30 years, there shouldn't be any problem. Ahem, old man, although I am getting older and older, but as the saying goes, an old man can only reach 1,000 miles. The light in Mr. An's eyes became brighter. What's more, my level has reached the 7th level of command, breaking through the overlord level, there may still be hope. When Li Qian heard this, he showed a half-smiling expression and glanced at the old man. It was rare for the old man to blush. He quickly changed the subject. Well, Xiao Qian, let's get down to business first. Li Qian nodded. Big cat, use intimidation skills. Seeing this, the old man ordered the sun-eating tiger standing next to the central pond. The sun-eating tiger did not hesitate and used its intimidation skills directly at the group of koi fish gathered by Kizai and Ah Fu. A layer of invisible pressure was directly released. In an instant, the pond, which was quite lively with koi jumping out from time to time, immediately became quiet. Most of the koi were directly subdued by the intimidation skill and sank to the bottom of the water. Some even swung their tails to get into the mud at the bottom of the pond. Only a dozen koi can barely remain suspended. Lu Changfang's Aaron and Fatty Ann's charcoal head are among them. As expected of a carefully selected pet with high potential, its willpower alone is far superior to that of its kind. Li Qian was not surprised to see that under the pressure of the sun-eating tiger's intimidation skills, more than a dozen koi carps headed by Aaron could still hold on and did not sink to the bottom of the pond. However, he knew better that even if these guys could hold on now, they certainly wouldn't be able to hold on for long. The fact was just as he guessed. After only holding on for less than 3 seconds, one after another, the koi could not withstand the pressure brought by the sun-eating tiger's intimidation skills and sank to the bottom of the pond. However, this does not include Aaron and Tantu. After another minute or so, most of the koi had sunk to the bottom of the pond, with only 5 remaining, still struggling to hold on. They clustered together, as if they were going to advance and retreat together. However, in fact, in the face of such intimidation skills, no matter how many fish are grouped together, it will not have any impact. Not surprisingly, Aaron and Tantu are still in the team struggling to support themselves. Just when Li Qian thought that these 5 koi would not last long, the first ones to fall behind were those who had already sunk to the bottom of the pond. Gululu. As the first koi's eyes began to turn in circles, its belly turned over, and it surfaced. More and more koi could not hold on and began to enter a state of unconsciousness. In less than 5 minutes, 80% of the koi had become dead fish, floating on the water. Of course, in fact, they are not dead, they just fainted under the pressure of the intimidation skill. Dying like this will have no impact on the physical condition of the pet beast. As time passed by, more and more koi couldn't hold on and followed in the footsteps of those dead fish on the water. At this time, the 5 koi, including Tantu and Aaron, who were still struggling to hold on, could no longer maintain their condition and sank to the bottom of the water. Time passes slowly. Although the intimidation skill was not directed at him, Li Qian also felt great pressure while standing by the pond. This is the overlord level potential pet beast that leads the 7th level. Even if the combat experience is relatively lacking, it is far beyond what Kizai or Ah Fu can achieve at the moment. To put it bluntly, at this moment, the sun-eating tiger is the most powerful being in the entire base. The time came to the 8th minute. At this time, there were only 3 koi carps left in the entire central pond that were still conscious, including Aaron and the 2 koi carps at the base. As for Fatty Ann's Tantu, he was dead in battle. Its qualifications are indeed good, but in terms of willpower, it still falls short. Even among the koi fish in the base, he is not the best. 8 minutes later, and a few seconds later, the 2 koi in the base followed suit, rolled their eyes, and passed out. In this way, Aaron was the only fish left in the entire pond that was still holding on. Li Qian looked at the bottom of the pond. Aaron's entire fish had begun to shake, and he probably wouldn't be able to hold on for long. It turned out that his guess was not wrong. When Kankan reached 9 minutes, Aaron couldn't hold on anymore, passed out, and floated up. Looking at the more than 100 koi floating on the surface of the pond, Li Qian nodded slightly. Overall, he was quite satisfied with the performance of the koi this time. Especially for the 2 koi that persisted to the end, not to mention evolving into a blue-scaled dragon. Even if they evolved into a Frostfire demon, the probability of success should not be that low. However, for the time being, Li Qian has no intention of using them as test subjects. He has a more suitable target. The opponent's willpower is even higher than Aaron's. Because it was the first time for him to conduct this kind of intimidation skills training, after the training, Li Qian did not continue to arrange this kind of training on this day. At least give them a buffering process and don't practice too hard all at once. Furthermore, some of them still need to be trained in waterfall climbing skills, so it is not appropriate to add another burden. The next day, early in the morning, a large group of black shadows suddenly fell from the sky and arrived at the gate of the Zhaoyang training base. When the guard, Uncle Zhang, saw this scene, he didn't find it very strange. As soon as possible, he called Li Qian and informed him. At a glance, he quickly recognized what the huge thing falling from the sky was. That is the flying pet beast, the long-necked finch. The long-necked bird has a long neck and a pointed beak. It flies like an arrow off the string at extremely fast speeds. Although the long-necked finch is extremely fast and has good endurance, in fact, its combat effectiveness is not high. The racial potential is only worthy of entering the leadership level. Because this kind of pet has a docile personality and will generally not attack humans even without a contract, they have become the main flying delivery pets of many express companies. This long-necked bird that fell from the sky is the pet animal of the courier of United Express Company. Obviously, this is something my boss bought online. In the past, when the base was in relatively good operating conditions, this situation was very common. When he heard that the doorman, Uncle Zhang, called to inform him, Li Qian walked out without hesitation. Package Express, please sign for it. Seeing the consignee appear, the courier quickly handed a small paper box to Li Qian. Thank you. Li Qian didn't waste time asking anything and took the paper box directly. The paper box was opened, and to his surprise, there was indeed a beast control ball inside. Li Qian directly picked up the beast control ball and came to the central pond. The collecting light appeared, and a koi carp about 60 centimeters long and relatively standard in size appeared in the pond. This koi is the special koi he photographed at the pet mall that can survive the intimidation skills of the river crocodile for 10 minutes. Not bad, he looks very energetic. After entering the pond, the little guy swam around excitedly, jumping out of the water from time to time, looking a little excited. Seeing this, Li Qian praised him casually. Little guy, I don't know whether you were lucky or unlucky to meet me. Li Qian glanced at the new member in the pond and said with a little emotion. He kept talking and looked in a certain direction of the pond. Kizai, come out. As his voice fell, ang ang ang, a mighty and domineering blue-scaled dragon swam over suddenly, very fast. Wow, the blue-scaled dragon burst out of the water, creating an astonishing momentum. When the new koi saw this scene, its eyes suddenly widened, filled with envy and a hint of loneliness. Go and talk to this guy. Li Qian pointed at the new koi and ordered Kizai. Because he evolved into a blue-scaled dragon and advanced to the elite level in strength, Kizai's intelligence is now no less than that of a 7 or 8-year-old child. Through soul contracts, barrier-free communication can basically be achieved. However, facing this new koi, it was obviously impossible to do it, so Kizai had to be the translator. I hope that after Kizai's translation, this koi will understand what he means. Just say, I need it to help conduct an evolutionary experiment. The experiment may succeed or it may fail. Li Qian roughly shared his thoughts with Kizai through the telepathy of the soul contract. Immediately, he repeated it again, fearing that Kizai wouldn't understand. He didn't hide anything and told the truth directly. If it fails, it will lose the hope of evolution forever, but if it succeeds, it can leap over the dragon gate and become a pet beast with the potential of the 9th level of the Overlord in one fell swoop. After explaining the truth, Li Qian looked at the koi under the water and quietly waited for its feedback. It would be best if it chose to conduct evolutionary experiments. If it is afraid, it will not force it. Everything is its own choice. At most, it's equivalent to spending hundreds of thousands of federal coins to buy an ornamental fish. For Li Qian, although it would be a bit of a pity, it would not cause him any physical pain. Moreover, he believed that the other party would most likely choose the former. Because Li Qian saw unwillingness and ambition in its fish eyes. That kind of envy when looking at Kizai's body cannot be deceived. Gululu. Sure enough, the facts were just as Li Qian had guessed. After Li Qian's voice fell, the new koi suddenly jumped out of the water, leaving a semicircular trajectory in the air. Obviously, it has proven its determination and perseverance with actions. Seeing this, Li Qian showed a bright smile on his face. Very good. It seems that you are very confident in yourself. Gululu. The koi fell back into the water, spitting bubbles. It swam anxiously in the water, its eagerness and impatience almost leaping out of the water. Seeing this, Li Qian's smile became more obvious. He looked at the koi in the water and said in a gentle voice, don't be anxious. Before you evolve, I have to help you adjust to the best state. Of course, in fact, adjusting the state of the koi is only one of the reasons. One more thing. The frost and fire array in the base has not been set up yet. The conditions for evolution are not yet ready. In this regard, it depends on Niu Fengjin's ability. Li Qian is quite confident about this. After all, it was teacher Chu Shiren who introduced him. Although it seemed a bit unreliable, after the last exchange, Li Qian felt that this person was still capable. His research on formations is far more profound than his own. By the way, let me give you a name first. After making some calculations, Li Qian looked at the koi in the water again, and then suddenly thought of something. He looked at it for a moment, then scratched his head, and finally, as if talking to himself, said, with your body shape, it seems to be about 60 centimeters in length, so how about I call you, Xiao Lu? After finishing speaking, Li Qian couldn't help but laugh. The first pet beast is called Kizai, and the second pet beast is called Xiaoliu. If we continue like this, we will move directly to 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. The logic of my naming is quite simple, but it sounds strange. In short, it has nothing to do with the mighty and domineering green scale dragon and Frostfire demon salamander. Rather like a kitten or puppy. Li Qian had nothing to do about this. Who allowed him to have only these things in his mind? Li Qian also wanted to choose some powerful and domineering names, but unfortunately, he was a bad namer. After comforting Xiao Lu for a while, Li Qian returned to Building 1. As time passed day by day, Niu Fengjin gradually taught him some formation knowledge. Li Qian's understanding of formations is getting deeper and deeper. The understanding of formations is also becoming more and more comprehensive. In addition, the layout of the Frostfire array in the base has slowly taken shape. Li Qian is quite satisfied with this progress. If the restrictions are relaxed and Niu is allowed to go in and exert all his strength, it should only take about a week to complete the layout of the entire formation. But this doesn't mean much to Li Qian. What he wants is to understand the underlying logic of the Frostfire array. Finally, completely master this magic circle. You can't. In the future, all evolutions of the Frostfire salamander will require someone to arrange the magic circle. The cost is just a trivial matter. The most important thing is that if you don't learn the Frostfire magic circle, you don't really understand the evolution method from koi carp to Frostfire salamander. Of course, this time, the best result is, the Frostfire array can be used repeatedly. However, all this will not be known until the evolutionary experiment is completed. During this time, Li Qian basically stayed at the base. Rarely go out. Even school, I didn't go much. Either he was studying on his own, or he was following Niu endeavor to learn how to arrange the frost and fire array. I don't know if it's because of the two teachers Chu Shiren and Zhu Bingqing, but Niu Fengzhen's teaching is quite serious. There is no hiding or tucking. Li Qian was quite grateful for this. No matter what the reason was, in short, Niu Fengzhen really helped him this time. As for not going to school much, after learning that Li Qian had independently researched the evolution method from koi to green-scaled dragon, whether it was the teacher Chu Shiren in the cultivation class, or the teacher Zhu Bingqing in the meditation class, and even the pet knowledge class, the three teachers in the combat and culture classes all chose to turn a blind eye. After all, there is nothing to teach him in school now. Just go to the college entrance examination is scheduled. Even, in their view, the college entrance examination does not mean much. Based on Li Qian's achievements, the 8 great powers, including Kyoto and Zonghai, may even take the initiative to recruit him. The facts were just as they suspected. On the Sunday of the last week of May, a person with a somewhat special identity came to Yushu High School in Lingshui City. This is a middle-aged man with a round face and a rather honest appearance. He is probably around 40 years old. Teacher Zhou Chubin, why are you here? Chu Shiren looked at the middle-aged man who appeared in front of him in surprise. Don't look at the middle-aged man in front of you who is wearing a peaked cap and overalls and looks unconventional. In fact, his identity is not simple. He is not only the admissions teacher of Zhongnan Yushu University, but also one of the deputy deans of Zhongnan Yushu University's Cultivation College. Although it is more administrative, its training level is not bad. The reason why Chu Shiren was surprised was not only because of the other party's identity, but also because she knew this teacher, Zhou Chubin. Yes, Chu Shiren is also a graduate of Zhongnan Beast Control University. You should have guessed the reason why I came here. With a chuckle, Zhou Chubin continued, I heard that an incredible nurturing genius has appeared in your Lingshui city. At such a young age, I have already figured out the evolutionary path from koi carp to blue-scaled dragon. Such a genius, if I don't come here, I might be caught first by some guys with bad intentions. Chu Shiren was not surprised at all that teacher Zhou Chubin knew about Li Qian's existence and had heard about him. As soon as this kind of thing spreads, it will soon reach their ears. Don't worry, teacher Zhou, I'm watching over it for our school. Chu Shiren also smiled, although so far, he has not expressed his clear intention to study. However, as far as I know, he still prefers to stay in our Zhongnan province. Chu Shiren expressed his guess. This is also close to Li Qian's true inner thoughts. When Zhou Chubin heard this, the smile on his face suddenly became brighter. That's good. Because she had taken Zhou Chubin's class, Chu Shiren and him had a real teacher-student relationship. At this time, the teacher and the student briefly reminisced about old times and began to chat. The atmosphere was quite warm. Of course, the content was mainly based on greetings and politeness. After about 10 minutes, feeling that the time was almost up, Zhou Chubin got to the point. I wonder where classmate Li Qian is at this moment. The reason why he asked this question was actually for another purpose. As for Li Qian's residence, he already knew it. He also found out the address of the training base a long time ago. He also knew that Li Qian had been in the training base recently. Study and rarely come to school. When Chu Shiren heard this, he didn't think too much and said honestly, recently, Li Qian is basically in his own training base. As for what he is studying, I don't know. And with his ability, even if coming to school is actually a waste of time. Yes, we have already figured out how to evolve from koi to blue-scaled dragon. There is really no point in continuing to attend Beast Control High School. Zhou Chuban nodded and said in agreement. After hearing this, Chu Shiren glanced at Teacher Zhou in front of him, and then gradually came back to his senses and understood what Zhou Chuban meant, so he continued, well, Teacher Zhou, this is your first time here. We in Lingshui City still don't know how to get to Li Qian's training base. It just so happens that I have something to do at the moment and I have to go find him. If you don't mind, you can come with me. After Zhou Chuban heard this, his emotions didn't change on the surface, but he felt happy in his heart. This Chu Shiren deserves to be a graduate of Zhongnan Beast Control University, and he deserves to have taught her a lesson. He has a very bright mind. She understood what he meant before he even opened his mouth. Yes, the reason why he didn't go directly to Li Qian's training base was not because he didn't know where the training base was, but because he felt that a sudden visit was a bit presumptuous and the purpose was too obvious. If one or two familiar people can go together, they should be able to quickly close the distance between them. Thinking of this, he thought of Li Qian's alma mater, which is Lingshui Yusho High School. But what he didn't expect was that he would gain a lot as soon as he entered the school. He met Chu Shiren, who was not only Li Qian's training teacher, but also a graduate of Zhongnan Beast Control University. Now, he is more confident about achieving the goal of this trip. He thought that Li Qian was able to study the evolution method from koi carp to blue-scaled dragon in high school. In addition to his own cultivation talent, which must be at the monster level, Chu Shiren, the cultivation class teacher, must also have played a decisive role. Therefore, the relationship between the two cannot just be regarded as an ordinary teacher-student relationship. It may be a bit excessive to say they are master-student, but the relationship between them is definitely beyond ordinary teacher-student. With Chu Shiren accompanying him, not to mention being able to capture him, it should not be much different. As for Chu Shiren, her thoughts are very clear. Li Qian will definitely enter the Beast Control University. Under the same conditions, there is no problem in giving priority to Zhongnan Beast Control University. This is not only because I am a graduate of Zhongnan Beast Control University, but also a more reasonable choice from an objective perspective. Except for Kyoto Yuju University and Nakakai Yuju University, which are obviously slightly better. Among the other 6 Yuju universities, Zhongnan Yuju University is not top-notch, but it is definitely not at the bottom. It can at least be ranked in the middle and upper reaches. The level, and most importantly, the academic style is good, and it is located in Nandu City, the capital of Zhongnan Province, which is considered the 8 universities closest to Lingshui City. And she felt that Li Qian would definitely consider this factor himself. Since a consensus had been reached, and there were no Chu Shiren classes at the moment, the two of them drove straight to the Zhaoyang training base in the southern suburbs without any further delay. Not long after, Chu Shiren drove his car and took Zhou Chuban to the gate of Zhaoyang training base. As luck would have it, just as they got out of the car and were about to enter the breeding base, another car drove over quickly. It was a taxi. With the sound of tires squeaking on the ground, the taxi stopped steadily. A mature woman in her 30s, wearing red-rimmed glasses and with a curvy figure, stepped out of the car. The body walked out. The woman's facial features are exquisite, her figure is plump, the curvature of her chest is a bit exaggerated, and there is a hint of coquettishness between her eyebrows and eyes. There is a little mole in the corner of her eye, which makes her look even more charming. She walks with a twist. In addition, she is at the most mature and hot age of a woman. Every move, every frown and every smile looks like it can confuse people's minds. Hey, isn't this teacher Zhou Chuban from Zhongnan Beast Control University? I didn't expect to meet you in such a small place like Lingshui City. The woman came meanderingly, her red lips opened slightly, and she made a sound like a silver bell. This voice is like an invisible hand, touching the man's heartstrings. Zhou Chuban is naturally a man. When he saw this woman appearing, on the surface, he didn't have any emotional changes. In fact, his heart was racing and the alarm bells were ringing. The woman's name is Shui Yu, and she is one of the admissions teachers of Shazhou Royal Beast University. Together with another young and handsome male teacher, they are known as the two admissions talents of Shazhou Royal Beast University. There is nothing to say about the strength of these two people. They can only be described as mediocre. They are not bad, but not much better. However, relying on the handsomeness of the man and the beauty of the woman to travel around the country, it has attracted many high-quality students. Just like Shui Yu in front of me, as long as he takes action, he can basically hit every move when he encounters those young boys who are in love but have no determination. Although this trick of beautiful man trap and beauty trap is a bit unpopular, Zhou Chubin has to admit that the effect is quite good. In the past few years, the quality of students at Shazhou Yuju University has improved a lot, and has even slightly surpassed Kansai Yuju University, getting rid of the bottom ranking. You must know that Shazhou Beast Control University is located in the Western Region Province, which is the westernmost province of the Federation and is even more remote than Ziping Province. Most of the province is desolate Gobi Desert and desert. Due to its geographical location, Western Region Province has a sparse population. Therefore, Shazhou Yusho University's student pool is the worst among the top 8 universities. If it were not for the strong support from the federal government in recent years, it is unknown whether it could continue to be among the top 8 universities. It can be said that except for students from this province and those who mainly have wind and earth beast controlling talents, it is basically difficult for them to attract outstanding students in other fields. Therefore, he could understand the tricks used by Shazhou Beast Control University, but he could not help but feel disgusted when encountering such a situation of poaching people face to face. Although Lingshui City is a small city, it is within the scope of our Jiangnan province. Isn't it normal for me to appear here? With a professional smile on his face, Zhou Chubin responded politely, "It's teacher Shui Yu. You have traveled thousands of miles to come to our Jiangnan province, and you don't know why. Since the other party wants to ask questions and play riddles knowingly, then just keep playing with her." In this way, the two old foxes started playing Tai Chi together. I heard that there is an incredible breeding genius in Lingshui City. Before he graduated from high school, he figured out how to evolve from koi carp to blue-scaled dragon. I came here specifically to get to know him today. Shui Yu looked at Zhou Chubin, chuckled, and then got straight to the point. No longer conceding, he directly stated his purpose. Our Shazhou Beast Controlling University is located in the remote Western Region Province. Unlike your Jiangnan Beast Controlling University, the attraction of talents is limited, so the only thing we can do is to work harder and see if we, the admissions teachers, can try our luck. Shui Yu said it tactfully, but Zhou Chubin became even more defensive after hearing this. It stands to reason that the other 7 universities closest to Jiangnan Province should be Zhonghai Beast Control University in Jiangdong Province and Michigan Beast Control University in Southwest Province. However, apart from himself, the landowner, the first person to come to the school was the Shazhou Beast Controlling University, which was thousands of miles away. In addition, he has long heard that the training academy is the weak link of Shazhou Beast Control University. In recent years, there has been news that Shazhou Beast Control University will vigorously support the training college. If this is the case, the sincerity brought by Shui Yu this time may be a bit beyond his expectations. Why did Li Qian attract him and the woman in front of him? Isn't it because of his almost demonic nurturing talent? It can be said that Li Qian's talent meets the needs of Shazhou Beast Control University. It would be strange if they didn't take it seriously. Zhou Chubin even suspected that at this moment, admissions teachers from the other 6 universities might already be on their way. Every year, before graduating from high school, it is the busiest time for them, the admissions teachers of Beast Control University. The real evil geniuses are basically those who are specially recruited into the school in advance or recruited uniformly, and very few take the college entrance examination route. Zhou Chubin frowned slightly. "Teacher Shui, this is Jiangnan Province after all. It seems a bit unethical for you to come here to steal our students." After hearing this, Shui Yu covered his mouth and chuckled. "Teacher Zhou is joking. According to the provisions of the federal education law, our 8 major universities recruit students nationwide. This kind of idea of occupying the mountain to become the king and enclosing the territory for oneself is unacceptable. Li Qian was born in Jiangnan province, but he was not considered a student of your Jiangnan Beast Control University before he entered school. As for which beast controlling university Li Qian will choose to attend in the end, it depends on our own abilities. Shui Huayu said it bluntly, and Zhou Chubin was helpless. He glanced at Chu Shiren who was standing next to him. At this moment, the latter was watching the situation with his eyes, nose, and seemed to have no interest in their dispute. This is indeed the case. Although she is a graduate of Jiangnan Beast Control University, this status can only give her a slight preference under the same conditions. In fact, she would be happy to see more beast control universities come to Li Qian and have more choices. She wished she could go through all 8 majors, and then select the best among the best. Shui Huayu noticed Zhou Chubin's glance at Chu Shiren, smiled, and asked, "Excuse me, beauty, who are you?" Her voice was quite polite, so naturally Chu Shiren would not reach out to hit the smiling man. "My name is Chu Shiren, I am a teacher at Yushu High School in Lingshui City, and I am also the training teacher of classmate Li Qian." As soon as she finished speaking, Shui Huayu walked over quickly and grabbed her hand enthusiastically. "It turns out that you are Li Qian's education teacher. To be able to teach a nurturing genius like Li Qian, your teaching talent is really amazing." Chu Shiren thought that she was in a good mood. Even so, she was a little embarrassed to be praised by Shui Huayu. She quickly waved her hand and clarified, No, Li Qian's current achievements are mainly due to his own talent and hard work. It actually has little to do with me." This is also true, but Shui Huayu pretended not to hear it and continued to pour out his compliments. 1,000-mile horses often exist, but bull does not always exist. Classmate Li Qian is a 1,000-mile horse, and teacher Chu is this bull. Zhou Chubin frowned when he heard his extremely sugary words. It is definitely no problem to make the decision to find Chu Shiren by himself. The problem lies in meeting Shui Huayu. If she continued to allow her to pour ecstasy soup into Chu Shiren, she would probably have to make the wedding dress in vain with all her busy work. So, he coughed lightly, then spoke, consciously or unconsciously. "Yes, teacher Chu Shiren is indeed very good. After all, she is also a graduate of our Jiangnan Beast Control University." After Shui Huayu heard this, not only did he not have any worries, but the joy on his face became more obvious. It turns out that Mr. Chu also graduated from a famous school, no wonder he is so good. It's just that for an excellent high school teacher like Mr. Chu, staying here in Lingshui Yushu High School would be a disgrace to his talents. I wonder if Mr. Chu is interested in coming to our Shazhou. I can recommend you to teach in the middle school affiliated to our Shazhou Beast Control University. No matter how remote Shazhou is, it is still the capital of a province. The high school affiliated to Shazhou Yushu University is naturally not comparable to Lingshui City Yushu High School. To be honest, Chu Shiren was a little tempted when she first heard about this condition, but she quickly calmed down. She came to Lingshui Yushu High School not just to teach. Whether it is her, Zhu Bingqing, or the seemingly unreliable Huang Maoniu Endeavor, they all have extraordinary missions in Lingshui City. You can't leave Lingshui City easily. Therefore, without much thought, she replied, "Thank you, Teacher Shui, for your interest, but I am used to living in Lingshui City and have no plans to develop elsewhere for the time being." After saying that, she immediately added and changed the topic. "By the way, 2 teachers, we have already arrived at the door of Li Qian's home training base. Don't waste time here, hurry in." Teacher Chu makes sense. Shui Huayu nodded, and then took Chu Shiren's arm and walked directly into the base. Next to him, Zhou Chubin's eyes twitched when he saw this scene. In the end, he made a wedding dress for Shui Huayu for nothing. But who let the other party be a woman? This advantage is beyond compare to her. She can't hold Chu Shiren's arm. Alas, this dumb loss can only be swallowed reluctantly. The 3 of them filed in. The guard, Uncle Zhang, just asked briefly and let them in. Just kidding, these 3 people, 2 of them are admissions teachers at the Beast Control University and one is a high school teacher of his own small boss, there is no way he can stop them. And if they came to look for the little boss, they must have something to do, and they definitely weren't here to cause trouble. This can be heard from the enthusiastic tone of the landlady's voice on the phone. Yes, he had informed Han Yuying through the phone number at the security office, and the answer he got was naturally a warm welcome. The reason why Han Yuying warmly welcomed her was foreseeable. After all, this matter was related to her son's future. After the three people entered the breeding base, they walked forward and observed. Shui Huayu couldn't help but frown. Did Li Qian study the evolution method from koi carp to green-scaled dragon in such a simple environment? She asked this to Chu Shiren. Hearing this, Chu Shiren smiled awkwardly. Actually, this is a cultivation base that their family just acquired recently. Before that, classmate Li Qian was doing research alone. At this point, her voice dropped a few degrees without realizing it. No way, at that time, she never thought that Li Qian would conduct such a major research, let alone that he would actually produce such remarkable results. Therefore, at that time, she did not provide any help at all in terms of research. This is why she is a little shy to mention it. While the three of them were walking, visiting and chatting casually, a figure came towards them and caught Chu Shiren's attention. This person was none other than Niu Fengjin, whom she had requested to teach Li Qian the knowledge of formations and help him arrange the frost and fire formations. Niu Fengjin, how is Li Qian studying? Chu Shiren looked at Huang Mao, who was walking towards her, and asked. She didn't waste time and went straight to the topic. If you chat with him, you don't know how much nonsense this guy can come up with, so don't waste your time. When Niu Fengjin heard this, his tone was a little sighing, and he replied with a rather emotional voice, classmate Li Qian is worthy of being the 1 in a million talent you call a nurturing genius. Even in terms of formations, his talent is still beyond the reach of ordinary people. In only about 2 weeks, he has basically mastered the Frostfire array. Although he is still unable to deploy it, there is no problem in getting the array up and running. If this continues, it is estimated that he will be able to leave the army in about a week at most. Of course, being a master here does not refer to mastering all of Niu Fengjin's formation knowledge. In fact, it is not necessary. Li Qian had no intention of becoming an array master. He studied formations just to cultivate them. Therefore, for this stage of learning, he only needed to be able to arrange and skillfully use the frost and fire formations. And that's what he calls the standard for becoming a master. Is this almost reaching the standard of becoming a master? It's really fast enough. Chu Shiren couldn't help but sigh after hearing this. This handsome guy, can you take us over to see classmate Li Qian? While Niu Fengjin was talking to Chu Shiren, Shui Huayu interrupted. Niu Fengjin turned his head and looked at Shui Huayu, suddenly stunned for a moment. Just now, all eyes were on Chu Shiren, and he didn't pay much attention to it. Now, when he looked at it, he found that this woman was really a beauty. Plump, mature, and charming. In terms of the lethality to men and the impulsiveness to commit crimes, they are definitely higher than Chu Shiren and Zhu Bingqing. Seeing Shui Huayu's beautiful eyes flowing around him, Niu Fengjin even felt a little arrogant. He subconsciously agreed, of course. Chu Shiren frowned slightly. Why don't you send someone to inform classmate Li Qian first? Isn't it a bit bad to rush over like this? It's okay. I was with him just now. He was testing the activation and use of the Frostfire array. Niu Fengjin patted his chest and said generously. After that, he turned around, led the way, and walked straight forward. Chu Shiren hesitated to speak, but in the end he didn't speak and followed silently. Also following were Zhou Chubin and Shui Huayu. The latter chatted with Niu Fengjin from time to time, and was so happy that he could hardly find Bei. Knowing what a virtuous person Niu Fengjin was, Chu Shiren didn't care. And if he can change his target and focus on Shui Huayu, it will be a good thing for himself. I really don't feel anything for him at all. She would never consider such an unreliable man. At the same time, in an open space not far from the central pond, Li Qian frowned in thought. He took out the shovel he had prepared long ago and dug a hole about 1 meter long and wide and about half a meter deep in the Frostfire array. The Frostfire array, in essence, is a combined array of frost array and fire array. When Niu Fengjin was setting up, he also set up one magic circle first, then the second magic circle, and finally connected the 2 magic circles. The place where the 2 formations are connected is the most critical point for the integration of the formations. At this moment, the hole Li Qian dug is right here. This is also the most suitable location for Koi evolution. Looking at the magic circle that had been arranged by Niu Fenjin on the ground, Li Qian did not hesitate and used his mental power to connect the frost magic circle on the left and the fire magic circle on the right at the same time. With the immersion of spiritual power, the fire energy stones and ice energy stones embedded in the two magic circles immediately responded. There is a red energy beam on one side and a blue-white energy beam on the other. The two beams spread rapidly along the magic circle arranged on the ground. Finally, the energy beams intersected at the overlapping position in the middle of the two arrays. Although he has successfully stimulated it several times, Li Qian is cautious every time he practices. This time, naturally, it was no exception. The two energy beams intersected to form a new energy beam, which was light brown in color and surrounded the overlap of the two magic circles. Seeing this scene, Li Qian connected the energy stones in the magic circle again, closed the magic circle, and then quickly walked to the central pond. After running back and forth with the bucket several times, Li Qian filled the hole between the two magic circles with water. Without any further hesitation, Li Qian absorbed Xiaolu into the beast control ball. Taking him to the hole between the two magic circles, Li Qian looked at Xiaolu and said firmly, "Xiaolu, are you ready?" Gululu. Xiaolu was spitting bubbles in the puddle, his fish eyes full of anticipation. Li Qian took out a blood orchid potion from the space crystal pendant, looked at Xiaolu, and continued to draw a pie. "If you can complete the evolution, I will directly contract with you to make you my second favorite, and continue to evolve in the future. Becoming an ice and fire dragon is not without hope." This, in fact, is not a big deal. Li Qian is confident that he can evolve Xiaolu into a Holy Spirit level ice and fire dragon. Including the blue-scaled dragon, it is not hopeless to research the subsequent evolutionary forms. With the existence of the Golden Finger Pet Beast Scientific Research System, anything is possible. In the puddle, Xiaolu swam the fish quickly to express his excitement. Li Qian understood its intention, so he no longer hesitated, came to the puddle and poured the blood orchid potion. Beside the puddle, Xiaolu opened his mouth and swallowed all the blood orchid potion directly into his belly. After swallowing the blood orchid potion, not long after, Xiaolu's body began to glow with a faint light of evolution. However, this light of evolution is very weak, and it is completely impossible to complete evolution with this light of evolution. Seeing this, Li Qian didn't stop and used his mental power to connect the frost and fire array. The Frostfire array was activated again, and the red and blue-white energy merged to form a light brown energy beam again. At this moment, Xiaolu was in the puddle at the intersection of the two magic circles. At first, there was no change, but gradually, Li Qian discovered that light brown fusion energy began to enter its body. Gululu. With the influx of hazel energy, Xiaolu began to swim more wildly. Although it was just a fish, at this moment, Li Qian felt a variety of complex emotions in him, including anxiety, pain, excitement, and anticipation. And with the influx of hazel energy, the light of evolution on Xiaolu began to become more intense. It has even radiated out, forming a pillar of light that rises to a height of more than 10 meters. That's the light of evolution. Not far away, the three people led by Niu Fenjin saw this scene, and they all looked shocked. Unexpectedly, during an ordinary admissions visit, one could encounter such a thing as the evolution of a pet beast. And looking at the exaggerated beam of light emitted, this evolution may not be simple. Chu Shiren is different from the other three. She knows that the evolution of the blue-scaled dragon has extremely high requirements on terrain. At present, no suitable place has been found in the entire Lingshui city. In other words, this evolution should not be the evolution from koi carp to blue-scaled dragon. If this is the case, it is most likely the evolution method from koi to frostfire salamander that Li Qian mentioned before. Thinking of this, even though Chu Shiren thought she had a good heart, her heart couldn't help but beat crazily. Seeing the light of evolution rising in front of them, all three of them stopped in their tracks. Only Niu Fenjin seemed to have not reacted and was still walking straight forward. When Chu Shiren saw this scene, he couldn't help but frowned, and then reminded him, "It's time to stop, endeavor." When Niu Fenjin heard this, he was stunned for a moment, and then immediately came back to his senses. At this time, it is indeed not suitable to move on. If you continue moving forward, you may see the secret of Li Qian's cultivation of pet beasts to evolve. This is a big taboo. At first, Niu Fenjin didn't realize it, but now, after being reminded by Chu Shiren, he had fully reacted. Naturally, he stopped obediently. Is this the evolution from koi carp to blue-scaled dragon? Shui Yu's eyes flickered as he looked at the light of evolution rising in the dense forest not far away. Before coming, she had already heard about Li Qian. I know that he has studied the evolution method from koi carp to blue-scaled dragon. But a high school student has solved many problems that senior cultivators and even master cultivators have not solved. This kind of thing sounds really weird and unbelievable. So she came in with skepticism at first. In addition to wooing Li Qian, the purpose of coming here is to test his level. Now it seems that it is completely unnecessary. And just now she heard Chu Shiren mention that Li Qian had evolved 2 blue-scaled dragons. If you add this head, it will be the 3rd head. In just over a month, 3 green-scaled dragons evolve. What does this mean? It shows that Li Qian has completely mastered this method of evolution. This shows that the success rate of evolution is very high. It is not difficult to illustrate the ways of evolution. From this we can also judge that the value of this evolutionary route is far beyond imagination. You must know that the blue-scaled dragon is a pet beast with 5th level potential for the overlord. If it can be evolved in batches, it will have extraordinary significance for the entire Eastern Sha Federation. After all, pet animals like koi are too common. Shui Yu's thoughts were racing, shattering the doubts in his heart. For a moment, he thought of many things. Next to him, Zhou Chuban's mind was not much better. He subconsciously blurted out and asked, is this classmate Li Qian evolving the blue-scaled dragon? Chu Shiren, who was standing nearby, heard this and shook his head. Considering that some things will be known to them sooner or later, there is no point in hiding them now. And being known to them can also increase Li Qian's value a little more. So Chu Shiren chose to tell the truth and said one word, no. Zhou Chuban saw Chu Shiren's reaction and misunderstood what she meant. He confirmed with some confusion, you don't even know, Teacher Chu. Chu Shiren was still shaking his head and explained at the same time, I have communicated with classmate Li Qian before, and I know a little bit about him. If what I expected is correct, this shouldn't be the light of evolution of the blue-scaled dragon. Her words instantly aroused the curiosity of the other 3 people. Shui Yu asked first, what is this? Chu Shiren glanced at Shui Yu and Zhou Chuban respectively, with a hint of pride in his eyes. I remember that classmate Li Qian once told me that the evolution method of the blue-scaled dragon has quite strict requirements on the terrain. Currently, we have not found a suitable place within Arling Shui City. So this light of evolution is most likely not from the blue-scaled dragon. As she continued to speak, she continued, but it is a new evolutionary body he is studying. This evolutionary body also evolved from koi, and he accidentally discovered it when he was studying the blue-scaled dragon. Quote, I see. Shui Yu and Zhou Chuban both had expressions of astonishment on their faces, followed by shock and disbelief. Both of them instantly lost the ability to speak and turned into 2 pieces of wood. After they reacted, the longing in their eyes suddenly became more intense. Intense. If everything Chu Shiren said is true, then classmate Li Qian is not just an ordinary or lucky beast-controlling genius, but a beast-controlling monster who is rare in a century. Such beast-controlling monsters can change the strength and status of a beast-controlling university, and they must do their best to recruit them. Thinking of this, their eyes shined, and they stared motionlessly at the woods not far away. I wonder if classmate Li Qian has ever mentioned it to you. What kind of pet is this evolved form? Shui Yu asked, trying to contain the shock in his heart. At this moment, she had already begun to re-evaluate Li Qian's value in her heart. If the evolution method from koi fish to blue-scaled dragon is researched, there may be a chance of bursting with luck and inspiration. On this basis, researching the second evolution method of koi fish will be enough to prove his strength. In a short period of time, 2 evolutionary forms were developed, and it seems that they are both amazing pet beasts. Luck cannot explain them at all. And looking at this rich and exaggerated light of evolution, it is at least certain that the potential of this evolutionary body is also very amazing. Maybe it's no worse than the blue-scaled dragon. Seeing the expectation in Shui Yu's eyes, Chu Shiren smiled lightly, we'll find out later. She didn't reveal the truth this time, not only because Li Qian wasn't so sure last time, but also because she wanted them to witness the shock with their own eyes. Then you have to weigh the price you have to pay if you want to poach my students. The four of them stood there quietly, staring at the woods not far away. At this moment, Han Yuying led a woman in black leather clothes and full of wild beauty to walk over. As this, the light of evolution. After getting a little closer, the two of them also saw the obvious light of evolution. In shock, the woman in black leather clothes couldn't help but murmured to herself, is it the blue-scaled dragon? Probably not. Next to her, Han Yuying directly gave a negative answer. She had seen the evolution of the blue-scaled dragon before. Although the light of evolution was very bright and gorgeous, it was quite different from what she saw now. The most important thing is that there is no waterfall that meets the requirements in my own base. How can I evolve? Hearing this, the woman in black leather clothes cast a doubtful look at Han Yuying. Seeing that the latter had no intention of continuing to explain, she shifted her gaze and looked at Shui Huayu and the four people not far away. Teacher Zhou, Teacher Shui, what a coincidence. The woman in black leather clothes saw Shui Huayu and Zhou Chubin, and immediately said hello. Who are you? Because he didn't know the woman in front of him, Shui Huayu asked directly. Mr. After saying polite words, he began to introduce himself. My name is Ai Shaolian, and I am an admissions teacher who has just joined the University of Michigan. Shui Huayu listened to Ai Shaolian's self-introduction. On the surface, there was no emotional change, but deep down he was already complaining. This Mijo beast-controlling university is so desperate for billion that it actually copied the beauty of their Shajo beast-controlling university admissions strategy. Of course, the person who is even more messy at this moment is Zhou Chubin. What's going on in this world? Well-enrolled students are in such a mess. Before, there was only one Shajo beast-controlling university. But now, there's another Mijo beast-controlling university. No, this time I have to go back and suggest to the principal whether Zhongnan Yusho University should also find a new admissions teacher who is eye-catching. If you want to compete with them, you can't pretend to be aloof, you have to live in harmony with them. Well, the teacher Guo Xiaoyu from our college is very good, those legs are so long. The group grew from 4 to 6, including 3 admissions teachers from Yusho University, Chu Shiren, Niu Fenjin, and Li Qian's mother Han Yuying. I'm relieved now. Li Qian's mother, Han Yuying, finally felt relieved when she saw 3 admissions teachers from Yusho University arriving. Previously, based on her judgment of her son's abilities and achievements, Han Yuying was basically not worried about Li Qian's journey to the Beast Control University. However, things have not come to fruition after all, and it is definitely impossible to sit back and relax. Now, the admissions teachers have all come to visit, and there are 3 of them. This beast-controlling university must have not left. At this moment, the only suspense is, which beast-controlling university his son will choose. Of course, to Han Yuying, it doesn't matter which beast-controlling university she goes to, as long as her son likes it. The 6 people had different thoughts and stopped moving forward, focusing entirely on a forest not far away. Behind the woods, to be exact. There, the light of evolution shines brighter and brighter. It almost illuminated the entire forest, causing a commotion among some of the pet beasts in the forest. All 6 people knew that at this moment, evolution must have reached a critical moment, so they all stared intently, and even breathed a lot more lightly subconsciously. They did not take any action and just watched. Even Li Qian's mother Han Yuying did not rush to disturb him. Cultivating the evolution of pet beasts is a very delicate matter. If you are distracted or disturbed, you may fail. Han Yuying has worked in the training base for more than 10 years and knows very well what to do and what not to do at this time. In fact, she had begun to keep an eye on the other 5 people, consciously or unconsciously. After all, it is very likely that it is a new evolutionary route. If it is not kept intact, someone will have some evil thoughts that they should not have. Although the probability of this is not high, it must be guarded against. At the same time, on the other side, not far from the central pond, behind the woods in front of the 6 people's site, Li Qian was controlling the energy output of the Frostfire array according to the information recorded on the mission panel. This step is very important. It can be said that whether Xiaoliu can successfully evolve depends on this step. Although Li Qian has mastered this method of controlling the Frostfire array, in fact, it cannot be said to be a method, but a key point. He learned the method of controlling the Frostfire array from Niu Fengjin. Including the layout and control skills of the entire Frostfire array, there was no record of the instilled knowledge. This was why he had to learn from Niu Fengjin. Of course, strictly speaking, these are not very important. The most important points are the key points, which are the core values of this evolutionary plan. If the evolutionary method from koi carp to blue-scaled dragon can still be cracked through repeated trial and error, then the evolutionary method from koi carp to frostfire salamander cannot be solved at all without mastering these key points. May be cracked. At this moment, Li Qian was concentrating on controlling the magic circle, controlling the amount of energy output according to these key points. According to the knowledge instilled in the task panel, you should not be too anxious at the beginning and must increase the energy output bit by bit. Li Qian did the same thing, not daring to slack off at all. He stared at Xiaoliu at the intersection of the magic circle, paying attention to its reaction. When the light of evolution forms a beam of light and soars into the sky, it is necessary to increase the energy output in time to help the koi break through the first shackles of life. Li Qian observed attentively, and soon, this time point appeared. In the frost and fire array, the light of evolution became more and more intense, and finally formed a pillar of light rising into the sky, which was spectacular. Without any intention of appreciating this spectacular scenery, he strictly followed the information given on the mission panel, instantly increased his mental power output, and used mental power control to increase energy output. Because of the intensified energy output, the light of evolution became even more intense, illuminating almost everything within a radius of 100 meters. Li Qian remained unmoved, concentrating on staring at Xiaoliu in the frost-fire circle. It could be seen that it was twisting its body uneasily, and seemed to be in great pain. However, due to its extraordinary willpower, it persisted and did not jump out of the puddle, nor did it faint. It always remembers Li Qian's words. If it faints, it means evolution has failed. It has had enough of the insignificance and powerlessness of being a koi carp, and it always wants to change, so it will not allow itself to faint. Not even death. It longs to soar into the sky, long to be reborn, long to leap over the dragon's gate. I will never give up this opportunity to change my life. As for saying that Li Qian was lying to himself and that it was impossible to complete evolution, it never thought about it at all. Kizai and Ah Fu are the best proof. The two of them, like me, were just two ordinary koi fish before. As time went by, the first threshold finally passed, the blazing light pillar slowly dissipated, and finally returned to calm. On the other side of the woods, the 6 people couldn't help but frown when they saw this scene. In such a short period of time, the light of evolution has dissipated. Is this evolution successful? No, there is a high probability that it failed. Everyone stood quietly without any movement, as if they wanted to confirm whether evolution had really failed. Just like that, after about 3 minutes, there was still no movement on the other side of the woods. I'm afraid evolution really has failed. But thinking back, this is normal. Generally speaking, studying the evolution of pet beasts is not easy to achieve overnight. No trainer should fail several times, and finally sum up experience and lessons, gradually improve, and finally achieve success. Thinking about this, everyone was not surprised. And the first attempt triggered such an obvious light of evolution, which at least shows that the research has made great progress. It can be said that this failed evolution attempt not only did not affect the 3 admissions teachers' evaluation of Li Qian, but it was a big plus point. This further strengthened their determination to get Li Qian, a talented student. Just when they were about to move on and get in touch with Li Qian, on the other side of the forest, the light of evolution lit up again. This scene made all 6 people stunned. What's happening here? Everyone was about to take a step forward, but when they saw this scene, they subconsciously stopped. Apart from being stunned, not only doubt but also joy rose in my heart. Evolution has not failed, it continues. In this case, they naturally cannot go and disturb him presumptuously. It is a big taboo to pry into the cultivation and evolution process of the breeder. Several people present understood this truth, and naturally they did not dare to act rashly. Especially the 3 admissions teachers. If they leave any bad impression on Li Qian at this moment, it means they are basically out of the game. Just as the 6 of them were caught in the complex emotions of shock, confusion, joy, etc., on the other side, Li Qian had already begun to prepare for the second key node in Xiaoliu's evolution. As the light of evolution rose again, Li Qian did not hesitate at all and continued to control the frost and fire array according to the knowledge absorbed in his mind, gradually increasing the energy output. The second evolutionary time point of the Frostfire demon salamander has not changed much compared to the first one. Because Li Qian already had a successful experience, the difficulty of the operation was slightly reduced this time. The main reason is that the methods and essentials have not changed much. Li Qian followed the script and continued to control the energy output. In this way, 5 minutes passed by in a blink of an eye. When 5 minutes came, it felt like time was almost up. He suddenly increased his energy output, driving evolution to advance even more violently. There was no surprise. The light of evolution once again formed a pillar of light that reached the sky. This also meant that Xiaoliu had successfully passed the second critical time point of this evolution, breaking the second life shackles in his body. This second pillar of light soaring into the sky was even more intense than the first at its peak. Seeing such a bright light of evolution, the 6 people on the other side of the forest didn't know what words to use to describe the shock in their hearts. Is Li Qian going to complete the evolution directly? If this is really the case, it is too exaggerated. Fortunately, although the light of evolution this time is blazing, its direction is no different from the previous one. Not long after reaching its peak, the light of evolution fell, then dimmed, and finally disappeared. This time, after seeing this scene, the 6 people tacitly chose to stand still. Who knows if this light of evolution will come back again? It's better to wait for confirmation before speaking to avoid causing any embarrassment again. Facts have proved that their choice was very wise, because on the other side, Li Qian was already preparing to promote Xiaoliu's third impact. This impact is also the most critical one. It can be said that success or failure lies in this move. And strictly speaking, this third impact cannot be regarded as being promoted by Li Qian, because he played a very limited role in this last impact. First, he had to completely cut off the energy output to fully activate the power of the blood orchid potion in Xiaolu's body. After the medicinal power is stimulated, the energy output should be continued continuously, but the energy should not be output too hard. In fact, at this stage, the energy provided by the Frostfire array only plays a supporting role, and the decisive role depends on the power of the blood orchid potion in his body. The final thrust soon began. Li Qian also cut off the energy supply by controlling the Frostfire array, as recorded in the knowledge instilled in the mission panel. As the energy supply was cut off, just as Chu Shiren and the 6 had seen before, the light of evolution was dimmed again. The light of evolution dimmed, but this process did not last long. About 3 minutes later, it lit up for the third time. To be precise, at this moment, Chu Shiren and the other 6 were not sure whether the light that lit up was the light of evolution. Because what lights up this time is not the conspicuous silver-white light of evolution, but a blood-colored light, which actually looks a bit weird. Is this the light of evolution? Han Yuying asked uncertainly. Although she is the owner of this place and has worked in the breeding base for more than 10 years, she is still just a pet breeder after all. His knowledge is definitely not comparable to that of a pet beast high school teacher like Chu Shiren, let alone a beast control university professor like Zhou Chubin. It should be. Chu Shiren replied after hearing this. She was also a little unsure and vaguely expressed her guess. As the deputy dean of Zhongnan Yusho University's Cultivation College, Zhou Chubin's knowledge and level are still not comparable to Chu Shiren's even though he is in the administrative field. He directly echoed this statement. In fact, the light of evolution is not only our most common silver, red, bright yellow, emerald green, etc. are all possible. As he continued to speak, he continued. Now, the blood-colored light is shining, which only proves that this evolution is not simple, and the pet beasts that evolve may be beyond our expectations. After listening to Zhou Chubin's explanation, Chu Shiren thought of the name of the evolved body that Li Qian had told her before, and murmured to herself profoundly, if this evolution can succeed, it may indeed surprise you when the time comes. Quote. She obviously meant what she said. However, no one asked immediately. Next, Just wait and see. You said that, which made me even more curious. After hearing this, Shui Yu's face became more interested. While everyone was talking to each other, Li Qian's evolution was also coming to an end. The bloody light of evolution diffused out, which was enough to show that the power of the blood orchid potion in Xiaoyu's body had been activated. Having evolved to this point, Li Qian has become more cautious and highly focused. After passing this hurdle, the next step is to truly leap over the dragon's gate. But if you can't get through it, you will still end up with a bleak end of failure and no way forward. The bloody light of evolution became more and more intense, and Li Qian carefully began to control the energy output through the frost and fire array. Ho ho ho. In the bloody light of evolution, a huge outline of a pet beast about 3 meters long slowly condensed. When the bloody light of evolution reaches its peak and forms a pillar of light rising into the sky, evolution is completely completed. The outline of a lizard-like pet becomes more and more obvious in the bloody light of evolution, becoming clearer and clearer. Li Qian knew that this was the extremely rare and powerful western salamander-like pet beast, the Frostfire salamander. Finally, in the bloody light of evolution, the outline condensed and took shape. Ho 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 ho. The outline of the huge pet beast let out a roar. After a while, the bloody light completely disappeared, and the outline disappeared, replaced by a majestic and domineering beast shadow. It really looks like Godzilla in the previous Life's Book movie. Li Qian couldn't help but sigh as he looked at the huge lizard that had grown from 3 meters in length to over 10 meters in length and was close to 4 meters in height. Especially the sharp crystal-like dorsal fins, with energy fluctuations flashing inside them. It pulses red at one time and blue-white at the next. And based on the knowledge I had learned in advance, every time the Frostfire salamander uses a skill, its crystal dorsal fin will light up in the corresponding color. Fire skills are red, as if the inside is filled with hot magma. Ice skills are blue-white, like thick mist. After sighing with emotion, he didn't hesitate at all and immediately checked Xiaoyu's current information through the eye of true sight. Name: Frostfire salamander. Attributes: Ice, Fire. Level: Elite level 5. Potential: Overlord level 9. Skills: Flame Spray, Skilled, Flame Vortex, Skilled, Explosive Sparks Beginner, Flame Dash Beginner, Fierce Fire Beginner, Ice Edge Break, Skilled, Frost Breath Beginner, Ice Shield Beginner, Blizzard Introduction, Frost Introduction, Dragon's Tail Introduction, Dragon's Guardian Introduction. Looking at the somewhat exaggerated attribute information of the Frostfire demon, Li Qian couldn't help but feel waves in his heart. It is indeed a rare pet beast with racial potential that can surpass the blue-scaled dragon. Just looking at its attributes, it feels like a supermodel. He murmured to himself. Ho 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 ho. Just as Li Qian was mumbling to himself, after the evolution was successful, Xiaolu looked around his body and felt the surging energy in his body. Unable to conceal the excitement in his heart, he began to roar up to the sky. That roar almost spread throughout the entire Sun training base. Many timid pet beasts couldn't help but tremble after hearing this roar. This beast's roar shook the entire breeding base easily, not only for hundreds of miles. The roar came out, and the entire training base could hear it clearly, including Chu Shiren and 6 others. It seems that the evolution has been successful. Can we go over and have a look? The curiosity in Niu Fengjin's eyes almost overflowed. He really wanted to see what kind of pet beast Li Qian had evolved. One evolution could trigger the light of 3 evolutions. Naturally, Chu Shiren and the 3 admissions teachers also had the same curiosity. They all focused their attention on Han Yuying. There is no doubt that the only person who can make the decision at the scene is her. Han Yuying didn't waste any time, immediately took out her cell phone and dialed. The call was dialed quickly, and after a few brief conversations, Han Yuying nodded, "We can go there." After everyone received permission, they rushed out quickly without any hesitation. Just as they hurried over, Li Qian came to fulfill his promise on the other side. He walked to Xiaolu and said in a gentle voice, "Xiaolu, I told you before that as long as if you can complete this evolution, I will contract you and make you my second pet beast." Li Qian looked at Xiaolu, who had evolved into a Frostfire demon and reached the 5th elite level, and said solemnly, "Now, I can fulfill this promise." As for whether Xiaolu would refuse, Li Qian had never considered it. After all, if it weren't for myself, Xiaolu wouldn't be where he is now. What's more, Xiaoliu still has the kind of character that refuses to admit defeat and is not satisfied. Only by following yourself can you achieve higher achievements. Xiaoliu must also know this. So Li Qian wasn't worried at all. It turned out that he really didn't have to worry, because after he waved, Xiaoliu meekly stretched out his head and let him touch her without hesitation. Li Qian wasted no time. The hand he stretched out directly condensed the beast control contract and touched Xiaoliu's forehead. In an instant, the brilliance burst forth. When both parties had the intention and you were willing and I was willing, the contract was successfully concluded effortlessly. Feeling that Xiaoliu had established a spiritual connection, Li Qian nodded with satisfaction. He is worthy of being a pet beast with the potential to reach the 9th level of the Overlord. Even if it is only a contract with an elite 5th level, the feedback given by the contract has also made his physical fitness soar. Li Qian even feels that his current physical fitness is no worse than some low-potential pet beasts who have just entered the elite level. What made him even more overjoyed was the 2 passive skills that Xiaoliu had mastered, Fire and Frost. The triggering mechanisms of these 2 passive skills are exactly the same. That is, when the energy in the pet's body drops below half, it will be automatically triggered. After being triggered, these 2 passive skills can double the power of fire and ice skills respectively. The Frostfire salamander is a rare pet beast with high potential. Now with the Fierce skill and the Frost skill, its combat power has greatly increased. Not to mention invincible at the same level, it is probably not much different. Just when Li Qian was overjoyed, a burst of footsteps came from far and near. The footsteps naturally came from the 6 Chu Shiren who were standing in front of the grove to spy on the leopard. After getting Li Qian's permission, they rushed over immediately. Then, he saw the huge lizard-like beast that was 10 meters long and nearly 4 meters high. As the Deputy Dean of Zhongnan Beast Control University's training college, Zhou Chubin is obviously more knowledgeable than the others. Almost as soon as he saw the giant lizard, he recognized its identity. This is Frostfire salamander. It was precisely because he recognized the identity of this giant lizard beast that he lost his composure and made an incredulous voice. How is that possible? How can it be the Frostfire salamander? Zhou Chubin's voice also made Shui Weiyu and I Shaolian react. It's actually a Frostfire salamander. Rumor has it that this is a powerful pet beast with the potential to reach the 9th level of Overlord. The reason why it is said to be a rumor is because the Frostfire salamander is very rare and can only be encountered in the wilds and dimensional cracks of the Western Federation countries with a very small probability. It has basically never been seen in the Eastern Federation countries, and its rarity can be imagined. And it is rumored that this rare salamander-like pet may evolve into the legendary Holy Spirit level pet, the Ice and Fire Dragon. Because of this, many breeders in Western Federal countries are studying this rare pet beast in order to decipher its secrets. Unfortunately, it seems that I didn't hear anything gained. Not to mention the evolution method from the Frostfire salamander to the Ice and Fire Dragon, even the Frostfire salamander itself has no clue as to what pet it evolved from. This Frostfire salamander seemed to appear out of thin air. Now, seeing this scene, with a Frostfire demon so alive and touching Li Qian's palm intimately, they finally got the answer. But it was precisely because of the answer that they were so shocked that their jaws almost fell off. The koi can also evolve into a Frostfire salamander. Ai Shaolian was in a daze, opening and closing her mouth as if she was asking or talking to herself. No wonder so many breeders in the West haven't figured out what kind of pet the Frostfire salamander evolved from. After the shock, Zhou Chubin kept talking and added with emotion, Ganqing evolved from the most common koi carp in the East. Yeah, I was quite surprised when I discovered some clues. Li Qian smiled, then nodded, walked over slowly, and agreed. Hello, classmate Li Qian, my name is Zhou Chubin. I come from Nandu City and am an admissions teacher at Zhongnan Yusho University. Zhou Chubin couldn't wait to speak and introduced himself. After that, he made another request. I wonder if I can see the specific attribute information of this Frostfire demon salamander. In fact, with his level of strength, it didn't take much effort to check Xiaolu's information. Even if you can't investigate it very detailedly and clearly, you can still know something about it. The reason why I asked was out of respect for Li Qian. A rash inquiry would probably arouse the latter's resentment. Li Qian did not hesitate and directly posted the information he saw through the eye of true sight. Naturally, Shui Yu also saw the information shared by Li Qian. After seeing it, she couldn't help but make a sound of surprise. The attributes of the Frostfire salamander are also too outrageous. Quote, "Classmate Li Qian, this time, no matter whether you agree to study in our school or not." As she spoke, she had already given her promise, and the competition for talents had officially begun. She went on and directly threw out a temptation that she thought was quite lucrative. "I can make a reservation in advance here. I hope you can help our Shoujo Beast Control University cultivate 5 Frostfire salamanders." "No, how many come?" "The price is negotiable and will definitely not be lower than the current market price." Shui Yu's wooing instantly triggered a competition for talents, and the atmosphere at the scene immediately became tense. Zhou Chuban chuckled, followed closely, and made a mocking voice, "I wonder what your Shoujo Beast Controlling University is planning, Mr. Shui. Student Li Qian has not yet entered your Shoujo Beast Controlling University, and his current research results have nothing to do with your Shoujo Beast Controlling University. The Frostfire salamander is a rare pet beast that has a price but no market. If you go to the pet mall, you will probably be sold in seconds. You can buy it at the market price. You can take whatever you have left. Those who know about it think you, Shoujo Beast Control University, are supporting classmate Li Qian, and those who don't know think that you are taking advantage of classmate Li Qian." After hearing this, Shui Yu secretly thought something bad. She instinctively introduced the cooperation model between some teachers and students in the school's cultivation college and the school. In that case, the school has the right of first refusal, and the price will generally be lower than the market price. But Li Qian's situation is different. He is not yet a student of Shoujo Beast Control University. At this time, when talking about cooperation, both parties A and B are equal. Under this premise, the conditions he proposed were not only unattractive, but were indeed suspected of taking advantage of Li Qian. After coming to his senses, Shui Yu didn't explain, and just apologized. "I'm sorry, it's really me, Meng Lang. This matter is something that should not be considered. In this way, cooperation can be discussed after Li Qian enrolls in school. The condition I can give here is that as long as it is within my ability, Li Qian can open it at will." As soon as she finished speaking, she was targeted by Ai Shaolian, who retorted, "Teacher Shui, these words seem to be sincere, but in fact they mean nothing is said, which is suspected of being unfair." Teacher Ai's words make sense. Zhou Chuban agreed. At this moment, he and Ai Shaolian had vaguely formed an alliance. No matter which beast-controlling university Li Qian chooses to attend in the end, it is definitely right to join forces to target one person first. It would be best if the Shoujo beast-controlling university can be eliminated early. It's a pity that their methods may affect other high school students, but they have no effect on Li Qian, who has been born in 2 generations and has a very mature mind. He smiled and waved to Xiaoliu, who meekly stretched out his head and let it be touched. This scene seemed quite shocking. After stroking him for a while, he turned around with a smile, looked at the 3 admissions teachers, and said casually, "We will discuss the cooperation later. The first priority is to change places. 3 teachers, you see, this is not the place to talk after all. Why not, let the 3 teachers follow me to the hostel of the base first, and then we can communicate one by one." When the 3 of them heard this, they all nodded. This is indeed not the place to talk. No matter how much they entangle here, there will be no results. 10 minutes later, in a reception room on the 3rd floor of Building 1 of the training base, Li Qian sat across from Zhou Chuban and Chu Shiren. Whether it was because of Chu Shiren's relationship or because Zhongnan Yusho University was his first choice, he should be the first to receive him. This also reflects Li Qian's emphasis and preference for Zhongnan Beast Control University. Both Shui Yu and Ai Shaolian could only smile helplessly. They couldn't compete with the hometown plot. Of course, preference is preference. Whether you will choose Zhongnan Beast Control University in the end depends on Zhou Chuban's sincerity. When the conditions are not much different, Li Qian will naturally give priority, but if the conditions are too different, he does not mind changing the target. In short, Li Qian knew that the choice of the Beast Control University must be made carefully and rationally, and not based on emotion. Classmate Li Qian, I have to say that your performance today really surprised us. It's hard to imagine that you are only a high school student. In the reception room, Joe Chubin was the first to speak, and he started to praise, from koi carp to blue-scaled dragon, it is an evolutionary problem that has troubled countless breeders. Not only did you solve it, you also drew inferences from one example and discovered the Frostfire salamander successfully evolved. Such an amazing achievement, even some cultivation masters may not be able to achieve it. Faced with this somewhat exaggerated compliment, Li Qian smiled lightly and didn't take it to heart. He responded casually, "That's a ridiculous compliment." After praising him, he saw that Li Qian was neither sad nor happy, and his mood didn't seem to fluctuate at all. Joe Chubin stopped wasting time and went straight to the point. "I believe that whether it is me, or Shui Yu and I Shaolian, the reason why we are here is you should already know the purpose." Yeah, Li Qian nodded. The reason why they came here was already known to everyone on the road, so how could Li Qian not know it? "I think you should know something about our Zhongnan Beast Control University." After a brief foreshadowing, Joe Chubin began to introduce Zhongnan Beast Control University. Our Zhongnan Beast Control University was established in 1895 and has a history of more than 1,500 years. Although Li Qian had already learned some knowledge about the 8 great nations in advance, that knowledge was fragmented and unsystematic after all. Now that someone was giving a detailed and systematic introduction, he didn't mind being verbose and listened carefully. "I came to Lingshui City this time because of you, Li Qian. Our Zhongnan Yusho University will definitely provide you with the best learning environment." Next, it took about half an hour for Joe Chubin to explain in detail the conditions provided by Zhongnan Beast Control University. Generally speaking, the conditions are very good and very attractive. I won't mention full scholarships and free tuition. For Li Qian now, it is not attractive, and he does not lack that little money. In addition, you can freely choose courses, and you are eligible to participate in many evolutionary cultivation research studies in the school as a freshman. The school provides cultivation resources worth up to 10 million every year, and independent research results do not need to be shared with the school. Attractive. The conditions offered by Zhongnan Beast Control University were very good, but Li Qian didn't get excited because of this and agreed directly. He still understood the principle of shopping around. He had to see what kind of conditions the other 2 companies would offer. He responded tactfully, "I feel Zhongnan Beast Controlling University's sincerity and teacher Zhou's heart. However, choosing Beast Controlling University is a very important matter after all, and it is related to the future. So I forgive me for not being able to give it to you directly. Answer, I have to discuss it with my family again." Although our Shazhou Beast Control University was established relatively late, in recent years, its development momentum has been very fierce. After Joe Chubin came Shui Yu. Like Joe Chubin, she did not immediately talk about the admissions conditions when she came up. Instead, she first introduced the information about Shazhou Beast Control University. Because the area is remote and surrounded by deserts, the environment is relatively difficult. But this is also the advantage of our school, because in this environment, a large number of wind and earth attribute beasts have been bred in the area, and some beasts are even unique to our school. Unlike Joe Chubin, her introduction will be relatively objective. She will not only highlight the advantages, but also mention the shortcomings of Shazhou Beast Control University. In fact, the shortcomings of Shazhou Beast Control University are very obvious. Even if Shui Yu didn't say it, Li Qian knew it clearly. When he described himself like this, he seemed more magnanimous and gained a lot of impression points. Quote, "If you choose to study at our Shazhou Beast Controlling University, in addition to the conditions just mentioned, we can also help your father's pet enclosure bear evolve into an extremely rare gold and earth dual system overlord level pet beast with potential, Titan for free. Giant bear. Your mother's gray bean pigeon can also evolve into the unique Dunkong, Xuanyunyan of our Western Region province." I don't know if Shui Yu accidentally let the matter slip, or if he did it on purpose. In short, Li Qian heard what he said. It was precisely because he could hear it clearly that he interrupted directly. "Wait a minute, if I heard correctly just now, what you wanted to say was the escape eagle, right? Although the flying eagle and the cloud-piercing goose are both pet birds, they are as different as clouds and mud. The racial potential of Chuan Union is only at the commander level. Even if he reaches the peak of his command, he is still a commander. At most, it is slightly better than the common storm eagle, and there is no essential difference. But the flying eagle is different. Unlike Chuan Union's wind attribute, its attribute is a very rare space attribute among pet beasts. Naturally, the potential is not comparable to that of Chuan Union. He is on par with the blue scale Zhao and has reached the middle level of Overlord. And in actual combat, it may be even more difficult to deal with than the blue scale Zhao. Because of its space system, the Sky Escape Eagle is extremely fast. It can even teleport and leap in space, making it impossible to defend against. Even if it faces an opponent whose strength is higher than its own, it can retreat calmly. It is precisely because of this that when Shui Yu accidentally said the word, escape, Li Qian reacted immediately and asked directly. If his mother's gray bean pigeon could evolve into a flying eagle, and paired with Ah Fu's green-scaled dragon, he might even become a dominant beast master in the future. The most important thing is that the security problem is solved in one fell swoop, and Li Qian no longer has to worry about her personal safety. Sorry, I let this slip. The evolution method from gray bean pigeon to flying eagle has indeed been studied by Professor Yan of our school. When Shui Yu saw Li Qian take the initiative to mention escape eagle, she did not hide it and told the truth directly. However, the reason why this result can be studied mainly depends on Professor Yan, so before getting his approval, I can't promise anything. Li Qian glanced at Shui Yu, and then said firmly, I can change it, whether it is a blue-scaled dragon or a Frostfire devil, as long as it can help my mother's gray bean pigeon evolve into a flying eagle. These two pet beasts, Professor Yan can choose one. During this period, he kept searching and through some personal connections, he learned about the evolution of enclosure bears. Titan bear is one of them. Although this evolutionary path is rare, Li Qian believes that as long as he is willing to pay enough benefits to help his father's enclosure bear complete its evolution, it shouldn't be a problem. Even if it cannot evolve into a titan bear with both metal and earth elements, it can still evolve into other bear pets with similar potential. But this Sky Escape Eagle was truly something he had never seen or heard of before. He believed that this was indeed the evolutionary route that Professor Yan of Shazhou Beast Control University had just researched. Compared with the flying eagle, other evolved forms obviously pale in comparison. Li Qian believed that the reason why Shui Yu suddenly leaked the news was intentional. If this is the case, it means that the matter of escaping the Sky Eagle can be discussed. Otherwise, if she deliberately let it slip, it would be meaningless, so Li Qian directly set out his own conditions. As for directly agreeing to study at Shazhou Beast Control University, he selectively ignored it. Shui Yu was not upset when she did not get a clear answer from Li Qian. She smiled and gave a relatively clear signal, okay, I will discuss this matter with Professor Yan. I believe Professor Yan will also be interested in it. The blue scale dragon or the Frostfire salamander are interested. Li Qian can also understand this. Leaving aside the matter of recruitment, Professor Yan will not lose money in exchange for his mother's gray bean pigeon to evolve into an eagle. Shui Yu from Shazhou Beast Control University was followed by Ai Shaolian from Michigan Beast Control University. She could only smile helplessly as she was placed at the end. After sitting down, she began to introduce information about the Michigan Beast Control University. Classmate Li Qian, our Michigan Beast Control University is located in the southwest, adjacent to Jiangnan Province, and not too far from Lingshui City. This time, I came to visit you, classmate Li Qian, and I brought you unique sincerity. Near dusk, Ai Shaolian also left Building 1. When she saw Zhou Chubin and Shui Yu waiting inside the building, she shook her head slightly, indicating that Li Qian had not given a clear answer. Neither Zhou Chubin nor Shui Yu was surprised by this. The reason why they stayed was actually just waiting for confirmation. Now, with the information confirmed, they can leave with peace of mind. Not long after, the three admissions teachers, including Niu Fenjin, left the training base. Chu Shiren did not leave immediately. She chose to stay. After everyone left, she said solemnly, classmate Li Qian, you must be cautious when choosing Beast Control University. If you don't think about it for a while, you can temporarily no answer, since it's still some time before graduation. After a pause, she continued, of course the most important thing is that you have to know the deep-seated logic behind choosing Beast Control University. Chu Shiren's serious words instantly aroused Li Qian's curiosity. What is the deep logic behind choosing Beast Control University? Thinking about this, he didn't hesitate and asked directly, what logic? Chu Shiren did not answer directly, but asked a series of questions. You know, why the 8th Congress is called the 8th Congress, why there are only the 8th Congress, not the 9th Congress and the 10 Congresses. They are different from the ordinary Beast Control Universities. What's the difference? What Chu Shiren said sounded a bit convoluted, and it did draw Li Qian into it. He was a little confused for a moment. What is Bada? Why is it called Bada? Why not the top 9 or the top 10? What is the difference between the 8th university and the ordinary beast controlling university? These questions sound a bit simple, even a bit stupid, but if you look closely, you will find that you really don't know where to start to answer. Li Qian thought for a while, then shook his head honestly, expressing his confusion. Chu Shiren did not sell out. The reason why the 8th university is called the 8th university is not only because they are the 8 most powerful beast control universities in the entire Eastern Xia Federation. After a pause, she continued. In other words, it is precisely because they are the 8th university that they have comprehensive strength that far exceeds that of ordinary beast control universities. Chu Shiren's words made Li Qian faint again. I always feel like she's talking nonsense. However, based on Li Qian's understanding of her, Teacher Chu Shiren would definitely not make a mistake. The main reason why I ask you to choose carefully is, once you make a decision on which beast-controlling university to attend, it means that your development path will basically be determined from now on. Chu Shiren said something that left monk Li Chenjiang confused. He knew that choosing a beast-controlling university was very important. But, this matter shouldn't be bound to my future life course, right? Could it be that just because he chose to study at Shazhou Beast Control University, he cannot return to Zhongnan province to develop? Isn't this too nonsense? Li Qian thought so, but what he didn't expect was that the truth was such nonsense. Under Li Qian's puzzled eyes, Chu Shiren's lips parted slightly. The main reason why this happened is the dimensional crack. Actually, it can't be considered completely settled, but it will be very difficult to change the development route. Dimensional crack. Li Qian didn't pay much attention to Chu Shiren's additional words, but focused on a key word. Why did this matter involve a dimensional rift again? How does it relate to the dimensional rift? Looking out the window, Chu Shiren said slowly, in our Dongxia Federation, there are a total of 8 dimensional cracks that are open all year round. 8 items. Hearing this number, Li Qian quickly realized something. He chewed and did not ask, but continued to listen. Looking away from the window, Chu Shiren continued the topic just now. Yes, just as you guessed, the dimensional rift is inseparable from the 8 great elements. The Shazhou Beast Control University where Shui Huayu is located was the latest to be established. The essential reason is that the 8th dimensional rift appeared the latest. The two appear one after another. Could it be? After hearing this, Li Qian had already obtained a lot of information. Because of this, he felt incredible and even couldn't believe it. He had heard of the dimensional rift a long time ago. However, this is the first time I have heard about the relationship between the dimensional rift and the 8 great ones. How can the 8 great masters cultivate batch after batch of outstanding beast masters, among whom there are even many emperors, holy spirits, and even legends? Scale, collection of books, teachers, these are only one of the reasons, not even the main reason. The most important thing is resources, a steady supply of resources. This is the most essential reason why the 8th university is different from ordinary beast control universities. Chu Shiren's voice was still calm, as if he was talking about something that had nothing to do with him. And where do the resources come from? The ancestral star is just an ordinary beast-controlling planet formed after being infected by the mysterious energy leaked from the dimensional cracks. The resources contained above are limited. Compared with the dimensional rifts and outer battlefields, they are just a drop in the ocean. Speaking of this, you should have understood that, yes, each of the 8 major schools is suppressing a dimensional rift. Or, to be more precise, they are the actual managers of the 8 fixed dimensional cracks in the Eastern Xia Federation. After hearing this, the confused expression on Li Qian's face disappeared, replaced by shock and horror. Ignoring Li Qian's somewhat unresponsive expression, Chu Shiren kept talking and continued. As the actual manager of the Dimensional Rift, it is both a crisis and an opportunity for the Beast Control University. The dimensional cracks are full of dangerous places, and they are also filled with all kinds of precious resources, just like the number of sands in the Ganges. There is a complete dimensional crack as a training ground, and there are inexhaustible beast control resources. This is the foundation of the 8 great powers. Other forces, if they want to enter the dimensional rift, they have to rely on the Bada. Chu Shiren sat opposite Li Qian and told everything she knew without reservation. As we all know, the 2 beast control universities of Kyoto and Zonghai have always been the leaders among the 8 universities. The essential reason is not only that Kyoto is the capital of the Eastern Sha Federation, and Zonghai is the largest city in the Eastern Sha Federation, but also because the dimensional cracks suppressed by these 2 beast control universities appeared earliest. The level of exploration of these 2 dimensional rifts by these 2 beast control universities is far beyond what the other 6 majors can match, and the resources and training they have obtained are naturally not comparable to that of the other 6 majors. This is the reason for their transcendence. Li Qian heard the words, absorbed the information, and after digesting the shock, he couldn't help but frown and asked, "What about ordinary adventurers?" Knowing what Li Qian wanted to ask, Chu Shiren immediately gave an explanation. The dimensional rift is open to all beast masters, and ordinary beast masters can naturally go there. They are what you call adventurers. However, compared with the Beast Control University, they are like stragglers in the regular army. They are incomparable in terms of safety and resources. The most important thing is that every time you enter, you have to pay a certain fee, and this fee is charged by the corresponding Beast Control University. Having said this, Chu Shiren added another piece of information. As far as I know, all the 8 universities have established branch campuses in the corresponding dimensional rifts. Of course, for you freshmen who have just entered Beast Control University, you will definitely not be able to access it. You will not know this until you enter your junior year. I see. After hearing Chu Shiren's explanation, Li Qian showed a look of surprise. No wonder, entering the Beast Controlling University and not entering the Beast Controlling University are 2 completely different worlds. Chu Shiren nodded in agreement. The reason why Shazhou Beast Controlling University and Kansai Beast Controlling University are relatively difficult to attract outstanding beast controlling high school graduates is not only because of their relatively remote geographical location but also because of their suppression. The dimensional cracks appeared relatively late, are less developed, and are more dangerous. Of course, everything has 2 sides. The lower the degree of development, the higher the possibility of individuals getting opportunities. So, these 2-dimensional rifts are also the favorite places for ordinary adventurers to go. Of course, this is also related to the lower fees of these 2-dimensional rifts. Finally, she concluded her speech by saying, "This is the deep-seated logic behind choosing Beast Control University." Nodding, Li Qian finally understood why Chu Shiren said that choosing Beast Control University was equivalent to choosing the original path of development. Just imagine, after attending the Beast Control University for 4 years, most of the connections and experience accumulated have been left in the corresponding dimensional rift, and it is indeed not easy to put them aside. But if you go to other dimensional rifts, both the location and the people will disappear. Even if you don't start over, it won't be much different. Just like college graduates in previous lives often stayed in local cities to develop, the reason is the same. The Beast Control University in this world is more deeply bound to the region than the universities in the previous life. It can be said that if you have not reached a certain height, it will be difficult to overcome such geographical restrictions. Originally, as a high school graduate, you are not qualified to know this information. But you are different from ordinary beast-controlling high school graduates. With your ability, it is only a matter of time before you know this information, so, I will make an exception and inform you in advance. Looking at Li Qian, Chu Shiren's expression was a little complicated. I am telling you this news in the hope that it can help you make a more reasonable decision. Not noticing the change in Chu Shiren's expression, Li Qian asked a question again. Since the dimensional rifts on the ancestral star are suppressed and managed by the 8 Great Ones, what about the Beast Control Corps? With a chuckle, Chu Shiren pointed to the sky. Isn't there another place? The outer battlefield. Li Qian reacted instantly, then suddenly realized and murmured to himself, I see. Chapter 71. Chu Shiren's reminder allowed Li Qian to understand a lot of things in advance. These things were still very important to him. This time, she really helped him, so Li Qian was quite grateful to her. Finally, before leaving, she added, to put it bluntly, choosing the Beast Control University means choosing the dimensional rift behind the suppression and management of the Beast Control University, so you need to treat it seriously and cautiously. Although I know some things in this regard, after all, there is no the 3 admissions teachers know a lot. You can take the opportunity to ask this question. Of course, I don't know whether they will tell the truth in this regard. I heard that the matter about the dimensional rift is kept secret from high school students. Anyway, you can try asking. I understand, thank you, Teacher Chu Shiren. Li Qian nodded and expressed his sincere thanks. After giving a final reminder, Chu Shiren left the training base. She said everything that needed to be said and reminded everything that needed to be reminded. There was no point in staying. Looking at the direction in which Teacher Chu Shiren was leaving, Li Qian fell into deep thought. Why did the 3 admissions teachers tacitly choose not to mention such an important matter like the dimensional rift? Is there something hidden, or do I not meet the conditions to find out, or is it a secret from high school students? Maybe they are all there. At worst, ask about it the next time you communicate. There is still some time until high school graduation, so there is no need to rush. The next day, as usual, Mr. and Tianyu brought his sun-eating tiger to the breeding base. This tiger seems to have fallen in love with this training method of using intimidation skills to oppress the koi. At the end of each training session, he would show an unfinished expression. Maybe eating food is indeed a very pleasurable thing for it. And the strange thing is that Mr. N also enjoys it as much as the sun-eating tiger. Seeing this scene, Li Qian couldn't help but guess whether Mr. N was a combat-type beastmaster hidden by his business talent. What was different from usual was that Mr. N did not leave immediately after the training. He seemed to have something to discuss with Li Qian. Li Qian didn't think much about it. At the old man's signal, he got into his car and arrived at the northern suburbs of Lingshui City. The car was speeding along, and he was very patient. He didn't ask anything along the way. It wasn't until the car stopped in front of a rather desolate and overgrown abandoned building that Li Qian cast an inquiring look at Mr. N. Pointing to a large area of building ruins in sight, Mr. N explained, the original name here was Changfang Pet Paradise. It used to be one of the must-visit attractions in Lingshui City during its peak period. Unfortunately, the owner of the attraction got involved in gambling and squandered a lot of money, which led to a loss of funds and a crisis in the operation of the attraction. I had the idea of selling it before, but the property rights behind the land were a bit complicated. Considering the possible risks, I gave up the idea. It may be that other buyers also had this concern, so the land ended up being abandoned and tasteless, and ended up with no one taking over. After listening to Mr. An's introduction, Li Qian followed the topic with a smile and asked, then why are we here this time? Look there. Mr. An did not immediately explain the purpose of bringing Li Qian here, but pointed to the tall landslide-like building in the distance. Seeing Li Qian's thoughtful expression, Mr. An continued, it turns out to be a water slide there. It is in the northeast corner of the entire amusement park. The drop from the highest point to the lowest point is 80 meters. When Mr. N said this, Li Qian completely understood what he meant. The next moment, just as he had guessed, Mr. N directly revealed the real purpose of bringing Li Qian here. I plan to take possession of the water slide in the northeast corner and claim that it will continue to operate after repairs. In fact, I plan to repair it. After modification, we only need to add about 20 meters more, and the height difference will reach 100 meters. At that time, it can be turned into an artificial waterfall to meet the evolutionary needs of the blue-scaled dragon. Quote. Another point, which is very important, is that the property rights of the water slide are very clear. There will be no problem whether you rent or buy it. Li Qian nodded with satisfaction upon hearing this. This was indeed a good idea. Although the Beizong waterfall in the Yunwu Mountain scenic area is an ideal place for evolution, it does not belong to you after all. It is inconvenient to have to look at other people's faces every time you evolve. Furthermore, Li Qian always felt that there might be some secrets hidden in Yunwu Mountain, and too much exposure would not be a good thing. It would be best to have a place for evolution that is completely under your control. So he naturally supported Mr. An's decision with both hands. Grandpa An is very interested. If we can win that water slide, it will indeed be a very suitable place for us to evolve. Li Qian nodded. Mr. An waved his hand and said, "You're welcome. Given our relationship, helping you is helping us and himself." After working with Mr. An to finalize the plan to transform the water slide, Li Qian returned to the training base. When he came to the central pond and looked at Aaron swimming in the water and jumping out of the water from time to time, Li Qian frowned, then took out his mobile phone and dialed a number to go out. Aaron's condition was somewhat unexpected to Li Qian. Through Kizi's translation, he roughly understood the reason why he fell into this state. It turned out that after seeing Xiaoliu evolve, he also wanted to evolve into a Frostfire demon newt, so he became restless. This put Li Qian in a dilemma. Evolving into a Frostfire demon newt was not difficult for him. But Aaron was originally aiming to evolve into a green-scaled dragon. Now the training has come to an end. If he rashly changes the route, all the previous training will be in vain. Of course, these are not the main reasons. The main reason is, Aaron is not his pet. He is Lu Changfang's reserve pet. Whether he can change the evolution route is up to him. Thinking of this, he did not hesitate and directly dialed a number. After the call was connected, Li Qian did not waste time and directly told Lu Changfang Aaron's wishes. Although this route can evolve into a Frostfire demonic newt, the risk is also great. There is a 50% chance of failure. If it fails, Aaron will probably lose hope of evolution forever. Li Qian did not hide the risk and told Lu Changfang the truth. On the other end of the phone, Lu Changfang was first in a long shock. It has only been a short time since Li Qian has studied another evolutionary route for Koi, and the evolved body is still a Frostfire demonic newt with higher potential than the green-scaled dragon. After being shocked and absent-minded for a moment, Lu Changfang finally reacted and then thought silently. According to Li Qian, if he continues to train in the current way, Aaron will be able to evolve into a green-scaled dragon in at most half a month. But if he changes the evolutionary route at this time, he will have to face a 50% chance of failure, although the potential will be higher after the evolution is successful. After thinking for a while, he replied, "I can't make a decision now. I will come to Lingshui City again tomorrow. Let's talk about it after I meet along." Li Qian nodded and responded, "That's good. Do as he said." The next day, it was almost noon. Lu Changfang came to the Jiaoyang cultivation base. Zhou Chubin and the other two who didn't know the situation thought that there was another competitor and were nervous for a while. After learning about Lu Changfang's identity, they felt relieved. In the base, Li Qian received Lu Changfang. He asked, "What do you think about Along's evolution?" "I'll go and see." Lu Changfang still didn't give a reply. He left quickly and went to the central pond. Li Qian didn't follow him. What he wanted was a result. As for the process of the discussion, he didn't want to know and had no interest. Aaron wants to evolve into a Frostfire demon salamander, and his will is quite firm. About 10 minutes later, Lu Changfang returned to building number 1 and gave his answer, "I respect his choice." Li Qian nodded, "Okay, I can arrange the evolution tomorrow." Lu Changfang's choice was not unexpected by Li Qian. He has always been a synonym for decisiveness and forging ahead in Li Qian's eyes. If there is an opportunity to go further, he will most likely not give up. Lu Changfang listened to Li Qian's words and nodded, "Then I won't leave today." After saying that, he suddenly thought of something, and then added, "By the way, today, I'll take Aaron away, is it okay?" Li Qian smiled and handed over Aaron's beast ball directly, "No problem, this is for you." "No need." Lu Changfang waved his hand and did not take the beast ball handed over by Li Qian. This puzzled him. "I have signed a soul contract with Aaron." Lu Changfang explained calmly, as if he was talking about a trivial matter that had nothing to do with him. Li Qian was stunned for a moment after hearing this. Then he cast an unbelievable look at Lu Changfang. You actually." Alas, Li Qian didn't know what to say, and finally sighed helplessly. To be honest, he really didn't expect Lu Changfang to contract Aaron at this time. You know, at the beginning, when he learned that there was only a 50% success rate of evolution, he directly gave up the idea of contracting Xiaoliu in advance. If you contract in advance, you can enjoy the evolution feedback after the evolution is successful, but if it fails, the koi can no longer evolve, which is equivalent to wasting a contract position. Of course, if you are willing to spend a huge price to buy some soul-nourishing medicines, the backlash of canceling the contract can be minimized. In this case, the contract position can be reused. It's just that this price is simply unbearable for ordinary beastmasters. Soul-nourishing medicines have always been extremely expensive, and they are in short supply. Once they appear, they will be snapped up. Excluding those top-level second generations who can withstand the backlash of contact contracts without injury, basically no one can reuse an abandoned contract position, which means that basically no one dares to contract a koi before evolution. After all, if the evolution fails, it means that in the next 20 years, the extremely valuable contract position will be occupied by a useless koi, and it is basically impossible for the koi to evolve again. However, Lu Changfang did this, and he looked calm and relaxed, without any pressure at all. Li Qian didn't even know whether he had confidence in himself, Aaron, or him. Why do you want to contract Aaron at this time? Although he already understood Lu Changfang's thoughts, Li Qian couldn't help but shook his head slightly. What if the evolution fails? I have confidence in Aaron, he will definitely evolve successfully. Lu Changfang said nonchalantly, and my talent for beast control is soul bond. At critical moments, it can give Aaron strength. I want to work with him to complete this important step. Okay. Seeing that Lu Changfang had said so, Li Qian could only nod helplessly. Moreover, he also knew that the talent of soul bond could indeed help the pet beast overcome difficulties at critical moments. It is equivalent to one person and one pet bearing the pressure from the spiritual level. With Lu Changfang's willpower, it would be true to say that he could help Aaron. Then you should prepare well today. The two chatted for a few more words, and after Li Qian made his final confession, Lu Changfang took Aaron and left the training base. That night, inside the breeding base, Han Yuying and Li Chengyang conducted a three-court trial on Li Qian. Mother Han Yuying was the first to speak. Son, how are you thinking about the Beast Control University? Li Qian responded casually while eating. I'm still thinking about it, don't be in a hurry. I have a sense of discretion and will take this matter seriously. Li Chengyang suddenly recalled the past, and then said with some emotion, both of us have limited talents and have never attended the Beast Control University. We can't give you any advice in this regard, but we all believe that you have the ability to make the best choice for yourself. Choice. When Li Qian heard this, although he was a little embarrassed, he still thanked him sincerely. Thank you, Dad, Mom. Father Li Chengyang chuckled. Don't blame us for not having the ability to help you, that's fine. Li Qian also laughed. How could that be? He opened his mouth and said firmly, you will always be my strongest support. Furthermore, I believe that your talents must not stop there. In the past, they were delayed by family conditions. Now that the economic situation has improved, you will definitely achieve something, so not only me, but you can't give up either. We, as a family, have to make progress together. At this point, Li Qian took advantage of the situation and asked, by the way, Dad, do you have any intention of getting your second pet beast? Don't worry, our family is not short of money now. You can boldly ask for it, and I will definitely find a way to buy it for you. After hearing this, Li Chengyang scratched his head in embarrassment. I really have a good goal, but the price is a bit expensive. Li Qian asked nonchalantly, what pet beast? Li Chengyang pursed his lips, blushed, and spit out 4 words, clay doll. As a father, a contracted pet beast, and having to help his son, this matter does sound a bit embarrassing. Li Qian didn't think so much. He recalled what the teacher told him in the pet knowledge class, and then nodded with satisfaction. The clay doll with dual attributes of curse and earth is a very good choice. Its evolved rock puppet is very powerful in both long-range attack and melee combat. In addition, it has many field control skills that can determine the direction of a battle if used properly. Quote. His father, Li Chengyang, has decided on a second pet beast. The one he wants to contract is a clay doll, and Li Qian will support it unconditionally. He checked on the beast control mall, and soon, rows of information were displayed. Li Qian scanned it briefly and found that it was really not cheap. The price was close to 20 million, and there were also contribution points required. But this is not difficult for Li Qian now. As long as a blue-scaled dragon is sold, whether it is a price of 20 million or contribution points, it can be solved. Because, at this stage, whether it is Lu Changfang's errand, Fatty Ann's Tantu, or the koi sent over by Zhou Weiping, although they are all being trained in the breeding base and preparing to evolve, they are all special circumstances. Both Lu Changfang and Zhou Weiping only received 10 million for their koi, which fell into the category of friendly support and special cooperation. As for Fatty Ann, let alone that. The entire breeding base was bought by Ann as a gift to him, so the evolution of Fatty Ann's charcoal head became a link of courtesy and a way to repay a favor. Li Qian naturally won't accept money. This led to the fact that at this moment, he really couldn't afford 20 million. He could only make a note of this matter first, and then buy it when he had money. Li Qian didn't know where Lu Changfang took Aaron to, and he wasn't interested in asking. But that night, something big happened in Lingshui City, which alarmed Li Qian. In the middle of the night, an explosion suddenly occurred in the northern suburbs of Lingshui City. The explosion set off soaring flames, and even if the breeding base was located in the southern suburbs of Lingshui City, clear traces could be seen and considerable noise could be heard. The moment the explosion occurred, Li Qian climbed to the top of building number 1, looked far into the distance, and began to investigate. This explosion reminded him of the time when he, Fatty Ann, and a group of classmates were attacked at Taluan Villa. Taluan Villa is located in the northern suburbs. In the original incident, no one was injured except Lu Kuiwan, who was beaten to a bruised face, and Sun Shuhei, who had a cut to expose his size, so they were quickly forgotten by Li Qian. But the explosion that occurred tonight made him pick up this memory again. In fact, if you think about it carefully, you will find that this matter is very strange. Who is Lu Kuiwan? He is just a rich second generation with no knowledge and skills. Why would the Zhidahui focus on him? Is it really just a coincidence that the mechanical octopus ended up in Lingshui City and possessed the shadow soul? Shaking his head, Li Qian tried hard to control himself not to think about these things. Whether there is really something fishy or it is just unfounded worry, not to contact or join in the fun is his code of conduct. Li Qian knew very well that there were some things in deep waters that he could not explore with his current strength. The best response is to give it a wide berth. Anyway, if the sky falls, there will be tall people holding it up. After watching on the rooftop for a while, Li Qian returned to the bedroom in Building 1, ready to rest. A night of nothing, at least, that's how it was for Li Qian. The next day, Lu Changfang arrived at the training base early in the morning, with a look of anxiety on his face. Li Qian was not curious enough to ask something he shouldn't ask, but went straight to the point. Can evolution begin? The sooner the better. Lu Changfang nodded, not hiding the anxiety in his tone. We can start right away. Li Qian didn't waste any time and led Lu Changfang to the evolution site. That is the flat land not far from the central pond. A puddle was dug out on the ground, which was Li Qian's masterpiece when Xiaoliu evolved last time. Let Aaron go in, Li Qian said, pointing to the puddle on the ground. Lu Changfang did not hesitate and directly followed Li Qian's instructions, summoned Aaron and placed him in the puddle. After doing this, he walked away without saying a word. They didn't stop until they retreated to the woods behind the flat, where the 3 admissions teachers stayed and waited that day. He just stood there, motionless. Li Qian didn't say much. He walked directly into the frost and fire array and placed new fire energy stones and ice energy stones at the nodes of the 2 arrays. After replacing the energy stone, he sat down cross-legged and began to use his mental power to guide the activation of the magic circle. A faint crimson light and a blue-white light lit up one after another. Evolution officially begins. At this moment, outside the woods, Lu Changfang summoned his diamond ape and fire mastiff in tacit agreement. Although this place is inside the training base, it stands to reason that there is no danger. However, if you are not afraid of anything, just be afraid of the unexpected. Furthermore, what happened last night also made him worried about the safety of Lingshui City, so he summoned the diamond ape and fire mastiff to take precautions. Just after the evolution started, less than half an hour later, 3 admissions teachers and Han Yuying came together again. The purpose of their coming is self-evident. However, because they did not check the time when Li Qian was working, they missed the opportunity again. Or, for them, this was the best time. They can witness the evolution of the Frostfire salamander a few more times, understand the success rate of evolution, and make it easier for them to evaluate the value of this evolutionary method. To measure the cost of recruiting Li Qian. So they consciously joined Lu Changfang and stared at the woods not far away again. Just like last time, it didn't take long for the silver-white light of evolution to light up. The silver-white light of evolution became brighter and brighter, and finally formed a light pillar nearly 100 meters high. The whole process lasted for about 3 minutes, and then dimmed exactly like the last time. It requires 3 energy infusions. This kind of evolution method, I really don't know how he developed it. Even though he had experienced it once, Zhou Chubin was still shocked when he saw it again. He is indeed a genius in cultivation. Shui Yu nodded in agreement. Yesterday, she had communicated with the senior management of Shazhou Beast Control University. The content of the communication shocked almost all senior leaders of the school. They immediately held an emergency meeting, and after some discussion, they determined the intensity of recruiting Li Qian. So she came here today with full confidence. But after seeing the unabashed appreciation in Zhou Chubin's eyes, she was a little unsure. Fortunately, she has prepared a trick that should be able to impress Li Qian. Also coming back with great sincerity was Ai Shaolian from the Michigan Beast Control University. At this moment, the 3 people had different thoughts and ulterior motives, and they were all planning the next negotiation strategy. They were all a little distracted when they looked at the light of evolution shining through the woods. Li Qian concentrated on it and did not let his guard down because the beast was not his. Moreover, since he had already had the experience, he was more comfortable in controlling it this time. It didn't take long for the first 2 energy shocks to pass through unharmed. The bloody light of evolution lit up again, and Li Qian could clearly feel Aaron's pain, and the entire fish body was twitching and twisting abnormally. But after a while, it became strangely quiet again, as if someone had cast a soothing spell on it, and the pain was fading away. At first, Li Qian didn't know what was going on. After thinking about it for a while, he roughly understood. It should be Lu Changfang's soul bonding talent that played a role, sharing part of Aaron's pain and allowing him to survive. This is indeed the case, because at the moment when Aaron calmed down, not far away from a forest, Lu Changfang, who was standing quietly, suddenly trembled all over, and cold sweat oozed out in layers. When Zhou Chubin and others next to him saw this scene, they all looked puzzled. Just when they were about to ask, the former took the initiative to explain, "Don't worry, I'm fine." Ai Shaolian looked at Lu Changfang with suspicion on her face, and couldn't help but mutter in her heart, "In your state, it looks like you are going to fall down soon, you don't look like you are okay." Zhou Chubin stared for a moment, saw something, and asked, "The Frostfire salamander that is evolving inside as your pet beast?" Lu Changfang was resisting the waves of pain coming from the depths of his soul. He couldn't answer at all, so he could only nodded. Seeing this, Zhou Chubin had a look of surprise on his face, already fully understanding what was going on. Ai Shaolian and Shui Yu also reacted to Zhou Chubin's question. The only person at the scene who was kept in the dark was Han Yuying. But she didn't care, she would know it if she asked her son later. With the help of Lu Changfang's soul bond talent, the bright red light of evolution finally formed a light pillar again, which also meant that the evolution was successful. The outline of a giant beast that was 10 meters long and 4 meters high slowly emerged in the blood-colored light pillar. Ho ho ho! Excited and violent roars came out through the woods. Outside the woods, Lu Changfang suddenly relaxed and took a long breath, followed by an unparalleled sense of relief. Obviously, after overcoming the shared pain of transformation, it is time to enjoy the evolutionary feedback. Even though he was already a commander-level beast master, Lu Changfang was quite pleased with the feedback he received after Aaron successfully evolved. His physical fitness has greatly increased, and he can even feel that his life has been sublimated as a result. If he were to test his genes now, Lu Changfang should be able to find that his lifespan has been extended by a small amount. It is indeed a pet beast with the potential to reach the 9th level of Overlord. Even in the first stage of evolution, the feedback is far better than other pet beasts. On the other side of the grove, Li Qian also let out a long breath after seeing the evolution was successful. Fortunately, I did not disgrace my life. Although it was Aaron's own initiative and Lu Changfang's consent, it stands to reason that even if the evolution fails, Li Qian cannot be blamed. What's more, he also stated in advance that there was a half chance of failure. But when it came to evolving, Li Qian still found that he was still cautious and afraid of failure. Captain Lu, you can come in. After the evolution was successful, Li Qian didn't waste time and sent a message directly to Lu Changfang. When Lu Changfang received the message, he took action immediately without stopping. He walked very fast, taking 3 steps at a time and then 2 steps at a time, and started to trot. Next to them, Zhou Chubin and 4 other people saw this scene, thought for a moment, and then followed them. Now that Lu Changfang, the owner of the beast, has been summoned, there should be no need to avoid it, and it should not be a problem for them to go there. And Han Yuying didn't stop it. Lu Changfang took the lead and arrived at the evolution site. As soon as he passed through the woods, he saw a huge and majestic figure. It was Aaron who had evolved into the Frostfire salamander. Feeling the soul contract between Aaron and himself, that sense of closeness cannot be deceived. The moment he saw the Frostfire salamander and its mighty and domineering appearance, Lu Changfang felt that all the efforts and pain were worth it. He stepped over and was pulled by the contract, and Aaron also walked towards him. The man and the beast just walked toward each other. At the final meeting place, Aaron lowered his head and rubbed Lu Changfang's palm affectionately. Lu Changfang smiled heartily and rubbed Aaron's rather rough scales, feeling filled with pride in his heart. Not far away, Zhou Chubin and the other 4 people who came over looked at this scene and couldn't help but show envy in their eyes. Even if they are teachers from the 8th university, it is not easy to obtain a pet beast with overlord level potential, and they need to pay a lot of price. What's more, the Frostfire salamander is not an ordinary pet beast with overlord level potential. Its potential has reached the 9th level of overlord. If it is combined with some precious resources, it has a chance to break through to the emperor level. The potential of a pet beast is just a potential, it does not mean that the upper limit of its strength is like this. If cultivated properly, or rare resources are used, there is a chance to break through the upper limit of racial potential. Of course, this kind of breakthrough cannot be too outrageous or supermodel. Breaking through 1 or 2 small realms is still very common, and exceeding 3 small realms is rare. Beyond 5 small realms, it basically does not exist. The racial potential of the Frostfire salamander has already reached the 9th level of the overlord. Although it is a big realm away from the emperor level, strictly speaking, there is only a small realm. It's just that this gap is larger than the gap between ordinary small realms. It is equivalent to 3 ordinary small realms. It is not hopeless to achieve it. After taking Aaron back to the beast controlling space, Lu Changfang came to Li Qian and solemnly thanked him. "Thank you, classmate Li Qian." "Brother Lu, you're welcome." Li Qian patted Lu Changfang on the shoulder and smiled lightly. "I have always respected you, the security officers of the Security Bureau, and helping Aaron evolve can be regarded as my contribution to the security work of the Federation." Quote. After a few polite words, Li Qian looked at the 3 admissions teachers standing behind Lu Changfang, his eyes flickering slightly. "After leaving them alone for 2 days, I also thought about it for 2 days. It was time to make a decision about the Beast Control University." A moment later, in a reception room in Building 1, the first person Li Qian met was still Zhou Chubin from Zhongnan Beast Control University. This time, the conditions proposed by the other party were obviously more favorable than last time, and they added a lot of details. For example, you can choose any of the top 10 cultivation laboratories in the school to join it, and you can check 95% of the training laboratories in the school. The above information includes some confidential information. After Zhou Chubin introduced all the conditions offered, Li Qian pretended to be silent, and then spoke slowly and said, "I hope to know some things about the dimensional rift under the jurisdiction of Zhongnan Beast Control University." Zhou Chubin was slightly stunned when he heard this. He obviously didn't expect that Li Qian would ask such a question. After a moment, a helpless smile appeared on his face and he responded, "Sorry, if this is the case, I can't believe it. Tell. It's not that I don't want to." He spoke calmly, looked at Li Qian, and said, "It's just that we can't. Our Eastern Sha Federal Ministry of Education has a law that clearly stipulates that any information about the dimensional rift must not be disclosed to high school students who have not entered the Beast Control University. Information Perhaps because he was worried that Li Qian would think that he was deliberately making things difficult and would leave a bad impression, he kept talking and then added, "Whether you ask me or Shui Yu and I Shaolian about this matter, there will be no difference in the answers they get." After a pause, he continued, "Of course, you can also ask some adventurers in Lingshui City. I believe it is not difficult for you, but you should only be able to get some from their mouths. Surface information about dimensional rifts. It's not that I mean to belittle their abilities. The fact is that they simply can't get the deep information." Nodding slightly, Li Qian did not doubt the authenticity of what he said. There was no need for Zhou Chubin to deceive himself about this matter, and this kind of deception could be easily exposed. Just ask a few adventurers or graduates of the 8th National University to find out, so even if Zhou Chubin colludes with Shui Yu and I Shaolian, it doesn't make much sense. As for Chu Shiren's previous suggestion, Li Qian can also understand it. After all, she has never done any enrollment work. It is normal to know many things but not know why. Moreover, she has also been vaccinated in advance, so this situation occurs, which is also within Li Qian's acceptance range. And I personally think that you don't need to think about the dimensional rift at all. Seeing that Li Qian was more interested in this matter, he followed the topic and introduced it, without going deep into the dimensional rift. For you, in fact, it doesn't make any difference which dimensional rift you choose. Hearing this, Li Qian nodded slightly. He could understand this. After so many years of exploration and excavation, even the surface layer of the dimensional cracks in the sandbank that appeared for the shortest time should be very mature. From this aspect, if you don't go deep into the dimensional cracks and explore some deep secrets, it really doesn't make any difference which dimensional crack you choose. As for the deeper dimensional rifts, Li Qian is also self-aware, and now he has no ability to involve them. Of course, this no difference refers to the development of a certain dimensional crack. If there is a cross-dimensional crack, there is actually no difference, but this no difference means no difference in constraints. Furthermore, as far as I know, the Federal Ministry of Education is promoting reforms. In a few years, the dimensional rift will be equally open to all students of the 8th National University. At the end of his words, Zhou Chubin revealed another piece of news. After hearing the news, Li Qian's expression did not change at all, nor did he give any response, he just smiled noncommittally. Even if Zhou Chubin chooses to deliberately ignore some things, or avoid the important, Li Qian also knows that in a dimensional rift full of classmates and teachers and in a completely unfamiliar environment, there is often a huge difference between superficial equality and actual fairness. In this regard, the situation in this world is quite similar to the Earth in the previous life. They are both societies of interpersonal relationships. Of course, after thinking for a moment, he nodded slightly, and probably understood the intention behind the Federal Ministry of Education's actions. If most students choose the more appropriate beast control university to seek advantages and avoid disadvantages, it is likely to cause an imbalance of students among schools, which will ultimately be detrimental to the suppression and management of dimensional rifts. If you consider it from a long-term perspective, this is definitely inappropriate, so the introduction of this regulation is understandable. But how effective this rule is, or whether it is only useful to students with little background like Li Qian, is another question. In fact, if he really wanted to inquire deliberately, he would definitely be able to find out part of the information about the dimensional rift behind the 8 great masters, even if he exchanged part of the benefits for it. Li Qian believes that situations like his are relatively rare, but more special cases should be some second-generation royals or rich second generations. Their understanding of dimensional rifts must be better than ordinary beast masters. The laws of the Ministry of Education stipulate that information about dimensional rifts must not be disclosed to high school students, but the subjects of the regulations are educators like Zhou Chubin. The regulations cannot restrain some large groups and forces. Although their understanding of dimensional rifts is not as good as go to a beast master university, but it will definitely be much deeper than an ordinary beast master. To put it bluntly, among the rich and powerful, this rule is no different from a piece of paper. Of course, the prerequisite is that the person is truly rich and powerful, and cannot be just a rich man like Lu Kuiwan or Sun Shuhei. Although he has this ability, Li Qian has no such intention. As Zhou Chubin said, at this stage, there is actually no difference in which dimensional rift he chooses. Of course, as Chu Shiren said, the future development direction will probably be determined in which city. After listening to Zhou Chuban's narration, he roughly understood the reason. Li Qian nodded slightly and no longer dwelled on the issue. Of course, he did not give a direct reply. I see. I'm aware of the situation and I will seriously consider it. Yes, I will give you a reply within 2 days. Now that he understands the reason, there is no point in dragging him on, and it will leave a bad impression, so Li Qian plans to wait until the conditions of the 3 beast control universities are announced, then compare them, and finally make a choice based on the best. Then I'll be waiting for your good news. After hearing this, Zhou Chuban stood up with a smile and shook hands with Li Qian, his face full of confidence. Although Li Qian did not express his position, Zhou Chuban was very confident in the conditions provided by Zhongnan Beast Control University. Whether it is Shazhou Beast Controlling University or Mizhou Beast Controlling University, in his opinion, at best, they can only provide similar conditions. Under similar conditions, Zhou Chuban felt that Li Qian would definitely give priority to Zhongnan Beast Controlling University. After all, Li Qian was originally from Zhongnan Province, and Zhongnan Beast Control University was the closest to his home, Lingshui City. This distance advantage is a natural advantage that cannot be compared with the other 2 beast control universities. After finishing Zhou Chuban's conversation, Li Qian wasted no time and met with Shui Yu directly. The order was exactly the same as the first meeting. Because it was not the first time to meet and talk, the 2 of them did not exchange greetings after sitting down and went straight to the topic. Our school will also equip you with an independent cultivation laboratory, which will be implemented in your freshman year. Shui Yu actually had a guess. When they communicated for the first time, the conditions given by Shazhou Beast Control University should be among the best. This can be seen from Li Qian's attitude towards her. However, after Zhongnan Beast Controlling University and Michigan Beast Controlling University increased their investment, it was not necessarily the case. Therefore, Shazhou Beast Controlling University also had to increase their investment, and it had to be more than the other 2 schools. She kept talking and continued. In addition, all pet beasts below the overlord level in the school will be open to you for free. You can contract and research as you like. Finally, as long as they are owned by our Shazhou Beast Control University, the cultivation materials of independent intellectual property rights will also be open to you for free and you can read them at any time. After a pause, she added, and continued. Involving information that other teachers have intellectual property rights, we will actively communicate and coordinate for you and try our best to get it. After hearing this, Li Qian felt a slight wave of excitement in his heart. The conditions given by Shui Yu were a bit incredible even with Li Qian's bolder psychological expectations. With these conditions, let alone recruiting a high school graduate like Li Qian, even recruiting a long-established training master would probably be more than enough. What Li Qian didn't know was that Shazhou Beast Control University recruited him according to the standards of a top training master. In their view, although Li Qian is only a high school student, he has successively studied the evolution methods from koi to blue-scaled dragon and from koi to frostfire salamander. As a cultivation master, there is no difference. Even now it seems that this recruitment effort may be a bit excessive, but after combining Li Qian's age and terrifying potential, it is not so outrageous. After taking a look at Shui Yu, who looked expectant after giving the conditions, Li Qian couldn't help but said with emotion, "You, Shazhou Beast Control University, are really courageous." After hearing this, the expectation on Shui Yu's face immediately turned into joy. She spoke and said meaningfully, "Classmate Li Qian, you are a unique nurturing genius. You are completely worthy of this kind of treatment. If you don't give this kind of treatment, waiting for treatment, in my opinion, is a sign of insincerity." He smiled uncertainly and ignored Shui Yu's words about the other 2 beast-controlling universities. Li Qian replied directly, "Well, I have indeed felt the sincerity of your Shazhou beast-controlling university, and I will be cautious. Thinking about it, by the way, there is one thing I want to ask you, Teacher Shui." When Li Qian said this, although he did not express his position directly, the tendency was actually quite obvious, especially in the last inquiry. Because of this, after hearing this, Shui Yu immediately asked impatiently, "What's the matter?" Li Qian did not hesitate and directly made a request that he had thought about for a long time. This request was actually not too excessive, but just a bit strange. If I choose to join your Shoujo Beast Control University, I don't know what will happen between now and when I enroll. Can your school send someone to protect my personal safety? Shui Yu was stunned for a moment after hearing Li Qian's additional request. He obviously didn't expect that Li Qian would make such a request. After he realized what he was doing, he immediately responded, although I don't quite understand. But I can give you a direct answer, no problem at all. Li Qian shook his head, continued to speak, and added, I think, Teacher Shui, you may not fully understand what I mean. The person I need must have strong strength and be able to cope with some emergencies. I may need to discuss this with some leaders of the school. Shui Yu couldn't help but frown slightly after hearing this. After pondering for a moment, she responded again. No need to leave, just give me 2 minutes. After that, she waved her hand, indicating that Li Qian would just wait for her for a while. At the same time, she had already dialed a number on her mobile phone. Li Qian didn't know who she was calling, but what was certain was that the identity of the other party was definitely not simple. Li Qian soon knew the identity of the other party, because Shui Yu did not avoid him when he called, just hit him in front of him. It can be heard from Shui Yu's name to the other party that the other party should be the president of Shoujo Yusho University. It is not clear whether he is the principal or the vice president. After communicating for about 3 minutes, Shui Yu hung up the phone, then looked at Li Qian, nodded, and said with certainty, yes, if you, Li Qian, choose to join our Shoujo Beast Control University, our school will immediately send a Beast Master who has reached the Overlord level will come to protect your safety until you enter school. When Li Qian heard Shui Yu's affirmative answer, he also gave an obvious preference. He said with a smile, I think this will be a very attractive condition. At this point in the communication, basically, the conversation was almost over. After chatting for a few more words, the two ended the meeting. Then I'm waiting for your good news, classmate Li Qian. Shui Yu left the reception room and waved inside, saying confidently. This scene, seen in the eyes of Zhou Chuban not far away, made him frown and his heart lifted unconsciously. After Shui Yu, there was naturally Ai Shaolian from the Michigan Beast Control University. During the communication with her, Li Qian also learned about the conditions given by the Michigan Beast Control University. In general, after adding more money, and Zhongnan Beast Control University it's almost the same, but it's still a bit worse than Shoujo Beast Control University. I wonder what Li Qian thinks of the conditions offered by our Michigan Beast Control University. After the communication, Ai Shaolian asked with an expectant look on her face. Li Qian looked at Ai Shaolian with a professional smile on his face, it's very good. Michigan Beast Control University has planned my future training path in detail, and the supporting resources also sound very attractive. I will think about it seriously. This seemed to be a standard smile, but in fact it didn't seem to contain any sincerity, which made Ai Shaolian's heart swell slightly. Li Qian's reaction gave her the feeling that she should belong to her. Sure enough, it was quite difficult for schools from other provinces like them to compete with Zhongnan Beast Control University. Yes, at this moment, she instinctively believed that Li Qian's heart belonged to someone, and the target was most likely Zhongnan Beast Control University. After finishing all the communication with the 3 admissions teachers, Li Qian made a decision after thinking about it for a while that night. In fact, after having a preference, this choice was not difficult to make. He picked up his cell phone and dialed a number he had just saved. Teacher Shui, I hope to see you again in more than 3 months. On the other end of the phone, Shui Yu's voice rang excitedly, classmate Li Qian, can I understand that you chose our Shoujo Beast Control University? Although she was relatively confident about the conditions given by their school, even she was a little shocked when she first heard about it, but before she got a definite answer from Li Qian, her heart was still hanging. Now, after hearing Li Qian's words, her heart finally relaxed. Li Qian did not mince his words. In the receiver of his mobile phone, he added again, I think my expression is very clear and clear. Quote. Shui Yu could no longer control the smile on her lips. She said firmly, believe me, classmate Li Qian, you will not regret your choice today. Li Qian chuckled and agreed, I hope so too. After giving Shui Huayu a reply, Li Qian did not just ignore the other two admissions teachers but sent a message. Thanks for their affirmation. Ai Xiaolian was lucky, because she was the last one to arrive, and she already thought that Li Qian had a serious preference for Zhongnan Beast Control University, so she was not surprised after receiving the text message. Of course, regrets are inevitable. As for the other person, Zhou Chubin, he was completely confused after receiving the text message. At this moment, his only thought was, why did the cooked duck fly? Then came the deep doubts and puzzlements. Why did the cooked duck fly? Since Li Qian did not choose Zhongnan Beast Control University, he must have made a choice between Shazhou Beast Control University and Mizhou Beast Control University. Could it be that the lethality of beautiful women is really that strong? Shaking his head, Zhou Chubin quickly denied the idea. Others may still be affected by beauty, but after being in contact with Li Qian for the past few days, he is relatively sure. The other person should not be such a person. He is very sensible and mature and does not look like a high school student at all. It should be unlikely that he would abandon the plot of his hometown and choose to go to a foreign country. After closing his eyes and thinking for a moment, Zhou Chubin quickly ruled out the Mizhou Beast Control University. Finally, he focused on Shazhou Beast Control University, or to be precise, Shui Huayu. Before, when he saw the expressions of Shui Huayu and Li Qian after communicating, a bad premonition arose in his heart. Unexpectedly, this bad premonition actually came true. Without thinking too much, Zhou Chubin followed his instinct and dialed a number directly. The owner of this number is none other than Shui Huayu. The number was just added a few days ago. The call was dialed quickly. After hearing a familiar voice, Zhou Chubin asked straight to the point. Mr. Shui, I'm really curious about what conditions your Shazhou Beast Control University has offered to classmate Li Qian. He actually chose to go to the western regions. His words were both asking and testing whether Li Qian really chose Shazhou Beast Control University. After all, feelings are just feelings. Before confirmation, they are just guesses. The test did not last long, because on the other end of the phone, Shui Huayu quickly responded, as expected of Teacher Zhou, he guessed our Shazhou Beast Control University right away. On the other side of the phone, Zhou Chubin couldn't help but twitch his lips when he heard this. Is this difficult to guess? Ai Xiaolian from Michigan, who imitated you, doesn't seem very competitive. After grabbing Li Qian, Shui Huayu was in a good mood. She responded with a smile. I can't tell you the specific conditions, but what I can say is that we recruit Li Qian with full sincerity, and the conditions given are equivalent to recruiting a top cultivation master. Quote. Hi. Zhou Chubin couldn't help but take a breath when he heard the conditions stated by Shui Huayu on the phone. For a moment, I didn't know what to say. They think that the conditions given are already very good. However, there is still a gap compared to recruiting a top cultivation master. No wonder he chose our Shazhou Beast Controlling University. Your craftsmanship is really... Although Zhou Chubin didn't finish what he said, the meaning he expressed was already very obvious. After that, after a moment of silence, he continued to ask, is it worth the exorbitant price you paid? On the other end of the phone, Shui Huayu did not hide anything and told the truth, is it worth it? I don't know. From now on, it may not be worth it, but we are betting on his future. The most important thing is, as we all know, our Shazhou Beast Control University's shortcoming lies in breeding. Paying such a price can be regarded as buying horse bones for thousands of dollars. It's a lot of money to buy horse bones. Maybe you were right. Our Zhongnan Beast Control University lacks some courage after all. After listening to Shui Huayu's words, Zhou Chubin couldn't help but sigh. After learning about Li Qian's final choice and roughly understanding the price paid by Shazhou Beast Control University, Zhou Chubin stopped talking to Shui Huayu. There was no point in continuing the conversation. After hanging up the phone, he murmured to himself, why do I always feel that one day, we may regret it? It's a pity that now, even if you regret it, it's too late. Li Qian has chosen the Beast Control University, this is an indisputable fact. After receiving the text message sent by Li Qian and confirming the former's whereabouts with Shui Huayu, Zhou Chubin did not stay any longer. After sending a message to Chu Shiren and explaining the situation, he left Lingshui City directly. At about the same time, Ai Shaolian also left Lingshui City. Chu Shiren received the text message from Zhou Chubin and did not respond. She just glanced at it and put the phone back into her pocket. Zhou Chubin's text message, or, to be more precise, the content of the text message, did not surprise him. In fact, half an hour before receiving this text message, Li Qian had already called her to explain his decision. For this reason, Li Qian apologized a little embarrassedly. After all, he did not choose Zhongnan Beast Control University in the end. After hearing this, Chu Shiren just smiled lightly and didn't mind. She explained her position without hesitation. I am a graduate of Zhongnan Beast Control University. This is true, but before that, I am your teacher first. Based on the standpoint of a teacher, I hope you will choose the development path that suits you best. Now that you have your own choice and it is not influenced by me, it is not too late for me to be happy for you. The two simply talked for a few words and then hung up the phone, because Chu Shiren had more important things to be busy with. At this moment, she was in a private room of a beast-controlling cafe not far from Lingshui City's beast-controlling high school. In the private room, besides Chu Shiren, there were also Zhu Bingqing and Niu Fenjin. The three of them met with serious expressions on their faces. You should already know about the explosion that happened the night before yesterday. As far as I know, there was another attack at noon yesterday. The attackers were still members of the Armed Forces Society. It was only destroyed by people from the Public Security Bureau in advance, so there was no trouble. What's going on? Chu Shiren explained the current situation. Zhu Bingqing nodded, spoke the same way, and added, I have received accurate information from the family. The target of the Mechanical Desecration Society is probably the sealed land. Niu Fenjin no longer showed his usual carefree attitude, and his expression also became very serious. He speculated, if they continue to be allowed to test, it won't be long before they find out that Taluan Villa in the northern suburbs is just a cover. If they change their target, they will find the real place of seal sooner or later. Then do we have any countermeasures now? Chu Shiren glanced at Zhu Bingqing and Niu Fenjin respectively. Zhu Bingqing curled his lips and said in a helpless tone, we said it was the guardians arranged by the family here. In fact, they are just 3 minions standing guard. Small threats can be dealt with, and they are as powerful as cult organizations like the Mechanical Desecration Society. What else can you do besides reporting it to the family? After that, he complained again, I don't know what is sealed in this, and why it attracts the covetousness of the Mechanic Society. Let's do our best to know the fate of destiny. We just need to do our own thing well. Zhu Bingqing ignored Niu Fenjin's complaints and directly expressed his thoughts. In fact, this is also a task assigned to her by her family. Always pay attention to the situation in Lingshui City and send the news back as soon as there is any disturbance. This meeting did not last long. After a cup of coffee, the three of them left the Beast Control Cafe and dispersed. Not long after they left, in the cafe, a young man wearing waiter attire and black-rimmed glasses came out of the corner of the door. He looked in the direction where the three people were leaving, and finally focused his attention on Niu Fenjin, with a slight arc at the corner of his mouth. He suddenly reached out his hand, pressed the upper edge of his black-rimmed glasses, and then suddenly said, Hulong Shichi, it should be confirmed. The three of them are probably the descendants of the guardian family of the sealed land. The moment his voice fell, a line of text suddenly appeared on the mirror of his black-rimmed glasses in a field of vision that ordinary people couldn't see. Then let's put the breakthrough on them. The day after Zhou Chubin and Ai Shaolian left, Shui Yu also left. Before leaving, she specially came to the training base and explained some things. The invitation letter written by the principal and the admission notice for the special recruitment will be sent to you soon. After you receive it, you can report to Shazhou Beast Control University on time. Li Qian naturally agreed to this without hesitation. Since he has agreed to study at Shazhou Beast Control University, he will not break his promise. On the third day after Shui Yu left, an unattractive old man came to the breeding base. The old man is thin and small, and looks no different from an old farmer. It was this old man who sent Li Qian an invitation letter written by the president of Shazhou Yusho University and the admission notice for the special recruitment. Besides that, he stayed. Yes, he is the security officer arranged by Shazhou Beast Control University for Li Qian, a beastmaster whose strength has at least reached the overlord level. To be honest, I really didn't see it. From this aspect, it is true that people cannot be judged by appearance, and sea water cannot be measured. However, this is fine. The more inconspicuous it is, the easier it is to be ignored. At critical moments, it may have an unexpected effect. As for the strength of this old man with no memory of his appearance, Li Qian didn't have the slightest doubt. Because after the meeting, he saw a small red snake on the old man's shoulder. Li Qian stared at it for a while, and then he remembered what kind of pet it was, a pet with overlord level potential, the purgatory viper. Dark type and poison type dual attributes. And it can be judged from its fleeting aura that the strength of this purgatory viper definitely exceeds the leader level. 80% of them have reached the overlord level. As for the specific level of overlord, it is unknown. This is just one of the old man's pet beasts. With the strength of the old man's overlord level beast master, he must have contracted more than one pet beast. It can be judged from this that the old man's strength is definitely not bad, and he should not be the overlord level for the first time. I wonder what you call senior. After seeing the old man's strength, Li Qian's attitude became more respectful. I'm just an ordinary guard at Shazhou Beast Control University. You don't need to call me senior. If you respect me, just call me Iron Old Man, the old man said in a calm voice. When he said this, Li Qian naturally did not dare to actually call him that. Instead of using the word, first, Li Qian directly addressed him as Tai Lao. Tai Lao, I will trouble you for the next 3 months or so. Li Qian did not dare to make excuses, and his tone was still very respectful. As for what Tai Lao said about the identity of the guard, Li Qian just listened casually and didn't take it seriously at all. Li Qian felt that it was impossible to let a beast master who had reached the overlord level as a guard, even if it was the 8 great masters. With Tai Lao joining, Li Qian can be said to have no worries about his own safety. Of course, this was not his purpose. Letting an overlord-level beastmaster protect him was, in fact, just a cover. Since the last attack by the Jijuhui, coupled with the uneven performance of Lingshui City during this period, Li Qian instinctively felt that something might happen to Lingshui City next. The reason why Shazhou Beast Control University sent people to protect him was actually to nip it in the bud. If something really happens, Tai Lao is here, and maybe he can help at the critical moment. After all, Lingshui City is the place where he was born and grew up. If he can help at a critical moment, he will definitely not hesitate. In this way, 3 days passed by in a flash. During these 3 days, Li Qian's feeling became even stronger. Because in just these 3 days, 2 more explosions occurred in the small city of Lingshui, and the location of the explosions has moved from the northern suburbs to the western suburbs. Although both explosions were covered up by officials with various seemingly reasonable excuses. But Li Qian, who had experienced similar things, could see it at a glance. In all likelihood, this was still an attack by the Armed Destruction Society. Any normal person would be able to see that the weapons would be so concentrated in attacking a small city like Lingshui City. There must be something fishy about this matter. Seeing something strange, Li Qian did not report or expose this kind of thing. I can see the strangeness in it myself, not to mention the officials who have more information. Maybe they already have a plan to deal with it. After calming down, Li Qian still maintained his usual rhythm, learning cultivation knowledge and training the charcoal heads at the same time. At the same time, he supplemented the knowledge of frost and fire magic circle under Niu Fengjin's teaching. Up to now, I don't know everything about this magic circle, and there are basically no problems. Both the control and the arrangement have already reached a certain level of enthusiasm. Just like that, unknowingly, Niu Fengjin's teaching has come to the last day. But on this day, something strange happened. It was past 10 o'clock in the morning, but Niu Fengjin still didn't come to the training base. It's not possible. It's already the last day. There's no reason to skip work. Li Qian knew that Niu Fengjin seemed unreliable, but in fact, he was relatively good at keeping his promises. Whatever you agree to will definitely end well. Just as Li Qian was frowning and thinking, a phone call suddenly came over. The caller was none other than teacher Chu Shiren. As soon as the call was connected, Teacher Chu Shiren's anxious voice sounded from the receiver. Classmate Li Qian, is Niu Fenjin at your place? No, I'm a little confused too. Logically speaking, he should come to my place to teach today. Today is the last day. It is unlikely that he will be late for no reason. Li Qian replied. But, so far, he has not appeared. I was thinking about whether I should give him a call. On the other end of the phone, Chu Shiren's voice came over again. You don't need to make this call. Because I have called him 3 times and I can't get through to him. At this point, she abruptly changed the direction of the chat. Maybe I was too crazy playing last night, and my phone fell somewhere, or maybe it was taken away by a pickpocket. He is just like that, very unreliable. Well, you don't have to think too much. After I see him, I will criticize him and let him make up for this last lesson. After some criticism, Chu Shiren just made an excuse and hung up the phone. Chu Shiren hung up the phone, and Li Qian put the phone back into his pocket. His brows couldn't help but frown deeply. Having spent a lot of time with Chu Shiren, Li Qian knew very well what kind of person she was. From the phone conversation just now, it was obvious that at the end of the conversation, she was obviously hiding something on purpose. It was as if he was deliberately reassuring himself. While frowning and thinking, Li Qian already had some rough guesses. Something might have happened to Niu Endeavor. At least, it's definitely not as simple as dropping the phone. Shaking his head, trying to control his emotions and not to think wildly, Li Qian took action without hesitation. He had to focus on what was at hand. To be precise, he put aside all other things and concentrated on training and breeding the koi in the base. He directly divided the koi into 3 groups. One group was headed by Tantu. There were 35 koi in total. They had all learned the skill of climbing waterfalls, but their progress was different. Among them, the one who has made the fastest progress is undoubtedly Tantu, whose waterfall climbing skills have been trained to a perfect level. Currently training on level-breaking diving skills. Zhou Weiping's koi is also making good progress. Although it was delivered relatively late, its waterfall climbing skill level is already proficient. There are also 3 koi in the base, which have also reached this progress. Li Qian named them Jin 1, Jin 2 inches and Jin 3 inches respectively. Well, Li Qian himself admitted that it was a bit simple. However, with his bad name, he can only reach this level. Of course, the most important thing is that none of the 3 koi fish objected. Koi, you idiot, if I could have spoken out to object, I would have raised my fins to object. Under the leadership of Kizai and Ah Fu, these 35 koi continued to train hard towards evolving into blue-scaled dragons. Since they have the qualifications and understanding to learn waterfall climbing skills, Li Qian will naturally not let them change their route. Although the other evolutionary route has higher potential, it has a nearly half probability of failure. Li Qian does not want to let them try it easily. The second batch was much larger in number, about 100 of them, and they evolved towards the Frostfire salamander. Among them, except for a few who actively want to go in this direction, most of them are koi who have little understanding and cannot learn the skill of climbing waterfalls. Originally, Li Qian would not be so radical, and now he started to train them intensively. The trainers include not only Mr. N's sun-eating tiger, but also Tai Lao's wind and thunder lion who was just convinced by him. Especially the latter, because his strength has reached the overlord level and the Lion King's power skill he has mastered is simply not comparable to the Intimidation skill of the sun-eating tiger. Under the pressure of this skill, the time that the koi fish can persist is even shorter. Of course, the benefit brought by this is that the training effect is better. Finally, there is another batch, the number is also about 100. They don't need to do any training, because they are salted fish. Either his understanding is too poor to even understand what Kizai and Ah Fu mean, or his personality is too comfortable and Buddhist, not suitable for evolution. Li Qian had no intention of eliminating these fish. It wouldn't be a problem to keep it as an ornamental fish, and it's not unaffordable. In this way, the base operated in an orderly manner. Soon, the day flew by. Near dusk, the training was about to end. Mr. N took back the sun-eating tiger and came to Li Qian's side. Xiao Qian, I have rented the abandoned water slide at the Xinxing Pet Park in the name of a breeding base. The lease period is 10 years. The renovation will start tomorrow. Do you want to go and take a look? Mr. An asked. Li Qian explained the implementation progress of what he had proposed previously. I have to say that the efficiency is quite high and the progress is quite good. Li Qian shook his head. I already looked at it last time. If you are looking at it now, there is no need. If possible, I hope to complete the transformation as soon as possible. After that, in order to reflect the urgency of this matter, he added, the sooner the better. Mr. An saw the anxious look on Li Qian's face. Although he didn't quite understand why he was so impatient, he still thought about it seriously. After a moment, he spoke and responded, the modification of the water slide is only to increase the height by about 20 meters. It should not be difficult. After a pause, he continued, if we work in 3 shifts, we should be able to complete the transformation in 3 days. Then I'll bother Grandpa An. Li Qian nodded with satisfaction after hearing this, and then thanked Grandpa An. It was night. On the rooftop of Building 1 of the training base, Li Qian was once again attracted by an obvious explosion. This time the explosion was closer to the southern suburbs. Li Qian looked at the smoke rising about 5 or 6 kilometers away and frowned into the character, Chuan. What is the purpose of the people from the Mechanical Profanity Society targeting a third-level small city like Lingshui City? Li Qian couldn't help but mutter to himself as he looked at the rising smoke. Yes, almost as soon as the explosion sounded, Li Qian thought of the Mechanical Profanity Society. There's no way around it. Recently, the only thing causing trouble in Lingshui City is the cult organization Jijuhui. So Li Qian instinctively thought of this organization. And he felt that his association should not be wrong. Just as Li Qian was staring at the smoke 5 or 6 kilometers away, a figure flickered like a ghost and appeared beside him. It was his temporary guard Tai Lao. A few minutes later, his father Li Chengyang and mother Han Yuying also appeared on the rooftop one after another. Seeing his parents appear, Li Qian immediately reminded him, Dad, Mom, during this period, if there is nothing particularly urgent, I hope you will try not to go out and just stay in the breeding base. Father Li Chengyang and mother Han Yuying looked at each other after hearing this, thought briefly and agreed directly. After all, Li Qian is their son, and both of them trust him quite a bit. In addition, they were also aware of all kinds of strange things happening in Lingshui City during this period. He also knows that his son is doing it for his own good, so he will naturally have no objection. On the rooftop of Building 1 of the training base, the 4 of them were all staring at the place where the explosion occurred. Their brows could not help but frown. This explosion was obviously not a normal accident. Ouch! Just as the 4 of them were looking into the distance, a wolf howl suddenly came from the place where the explosion occurred. Alang! The wolf's howl instantly caught Li Qian's attention. Hearing the familiar wolf howl, he said with some uncertainty. Li Chengyang and Han Yuying heard Li Qian's words and both looked at him suspiciously. Li Qian did not give in and explained directly, Alang is teacher Chu Shiren's pet animal. It is a snow wolf. The wolf howl just now sounded a bit like Alang's. As a training teacher at Beast Control High School, Chu Shiren once showed off his snow wolf, and Li Qian heard its howl. Because the sound was very distinctive, he had a deep memory of it. Aren't the howling sounds of wolves similar? Are you sure it's teacher Chu Shiren's direwolf? Li Chengyang glanced at the location of the explosion, with a strong look of suspicion in his eyes. Tai Lao also looked at the location of the explosion, and he intervened at the right time. It is indeed the howl of the direwolf. With his strength and knowledge, it was not difficult to identify the howl of the direwolf. It should be Mr. Chu Shiren's wolf. Li Qian frowned, thought for a moment, and finally said in a more certain tone. After that, he made a decision directly without any hesitation, I have to go and take a look. From the howling of wolves and the sound of explosions, all 4 of them could tell that the situation at the scene was not optimistic. If the wolf howl was really made by teacher Chu Shiren's snow wolf, she might have encountered some danger at this moment. Now that he has identified Alang's voice, Li Qian cannot just sit back and watch. We will go with you. When Li Chengyang heard this, he did not stop him, but spoke decisively, preparing to follow. Li Qian looked at his father, hesitated to speak, but finally nodded. Just now, I was trying to dissuade them from leaving the training base casually, but now, they took the lead in disobeying them, and they really had nothing to say. Of course, the main reason is that with Tai Lao here, safety should not be a problem. After making the decision, they no longer hesitated and took action immediately. 4 people in one car rushed to the location of the incident at extremely fast speeds. The incident occurred about 5 kilometers away from the training base. It is also near the southern suburbs, next to a private pet club. When Li Qian and 4 others arrived, the 2 parties were fighting, and the battle was fierce. Moreover, it is obvious that one of the parties is not in a good situation and is in a weak position. Teacher Chu. Li Qian couldn't help shouting after he had a clear view of the 2 warring parties. Yes, one of the fighting parties is indeed Teacher Chu Shiren. In addition, teachers Zhu Bingqing and Niu Fenjin also joined forces with Teacher Chu Shiren to fight against the enemy. Li Qian just took a glance and saw that their condition was very bad. Especially Niu Endeavor. His body was covered in blood, and he had obviously suffered serious injuries. In front of him, there was only one pet beast, a golden armored insect, still struggling to hold on. The golden armored bug's body was also covered in scars. It looks like it won't last much longer. Opposite them, on the hostile side, were 10 robots of various types. Their firepower was so intense that they suppressed the 3 of them and left them breathless. Teacher Chu, Teacher Zhu, Brother Niu, don't worry, we are here to help you. After taking a look, Li Qian directly summoned Kizai and Xiaoliu without any hesitation. Kizai, use Gale Slash. Xiaoliu, use Flame Jet. The fire took advantage of the wind and instantly ignited wildly, rolling up an overwhelming wave of flames and heading straight towards the 10 robots. On the other side, when Chu Shiren and the others saw the appearance of Li Qian and the others, they all took a long breath. At the same time, just after Li Qian took the lead in launching the attack, Li Chengyang and Han Yuying also summoned their pet beasts and displayed their skills. Haido Pigeon, use the Wind Blade. AFU, use Gale Slash. Enclosure Bear, use Ground Break. With the addition of Li Qian's 3 pets and 5 pets, especially the 2 blue-scaled dragons and a Frostfire demon salamander, they are all pets with overlord-level potential. Even if the level is not high now, their strength cannot be underestimated. Under the bombardment of the skills of the 5 pets, the situation at the battle scene was immediately reversed. The pressure on Chu Shiren and the 3 people who were originally at a disadvantage and in danger suddenly dropped significantly. Alang, Snow Wolf, Tangtang, 100-ton monster, Xiaowei, electric mouse, we are coming too. Chu Shiren commanded the 3 pet beasts to start a counterattack with a stern look. Powerful crocodile, shadow marten, and pink light butterfly, let these robots see our strength. Zhu Bingqing, who has been suppressed and beaten, also gave in. With her anger rising, she did not hesitate to use the energy of her pet beasts, and her skills were not required. It was dropped like money. While attacking, she did not forget to tell her other scarred pet beast, Golden Armored Bug, protect your master. The golden armored insect did not rush forward rashly. It remembered Zhu Bingqing's instructions and raised its 2 sickle-like forelimbs to be wary of enemies around it and protect Niu Fenjin's safety. With the addition of Li Qian and the others, even if Tai Lao did not take action but just watched, the situation began to undergo irreversible changes. And the reason why Tai Lao didn't take action was not that he didn't want to take action, but that Li Qian specifically told him not to take action yet. As a trump card, only by taking surprise can you achieve better results. Although these robots all have the strength of the commander level, Li Qian found that they only barely entered the commander level. If it weren't for the fact that there were a lot of people, a weird ability, and being dragged down by Niu Fenjin, even Chu Shiren and Zhu Bingqing could solve it after paying some price. So after Li Qian and the others joined the battle, the situation began to become one-sided. Kizai and Xiaoliu cooperated with each other tacitly, and took the lead in solving a robot by using their combined skills while cooperating with each other. Immediately afterwards, he rushed to the rescue of his father Li Chengyang and his mother Han Yuying, and together with them, he killed the second robot. In this way, there are only 8 robots left out of 10, and under the concentrated attack of Li Qian's 3 people and 5 pets, these 8 robots should not be able to sustain it for long. Facts have proved that this guess was not wrong. After Li Qian and 3 others joined, in less than 10 minutes, all 10 robots were beaten to the point of losing their combat effectiveness. Just when Li Qian thought he could call it a day, Niu Fenjin suddenly spoke and reminded, "Be careful, they can be combined." As soon as his voice fell, something unexpected happened suddenly, and mechanical octopuses emerged from the robot's body. All the mechanical octopuses come together, like the sea embracing all rivers, and there is a tendency to merge and gather together. When Li Qian saw this scene, he instinctively sensed something was wrong, but before he could take action to stop it, a thick bolt of lightning struck, accompanied by Tai Lao's voice, "Wind and thunder lion, raging thunder." Boom! Thick blue-purple lightning struck the mechanical octopus gathered together, making a violent explosion. Then, I saw that the mechanical octopus that had gathered into some outlines was instantly blown to pieces, and it was too dead to die. When Niu Fenjin saw this scene, his eyes widened and he made a voice of disbelief, "Solved with one move." Seeing that the 10 mechanical octopuses that were about to gather were blasted to pieces by Tai Lao's Wind Thunder Lion skill, Niu Fenjin's jaw almost fell off. This Wind and Thunder Lion can have such strength, and its level has at least reached the Overlord level. He found it incredible to think that an old man with an ordinary appearance, no different from the old man playing chess in the park next door, could actually be a dominant beastmaster. Also, when did such a powerful beastmaster appear next to Li Qian? It's been so long since we last seen each other, why have there been such huge changes? Niu Fenjin found it incredible, and Zhu Bingqing and Chu Shiren were also surprised. Zhu Bingqing took a step forward, respectfully, and asked Li Qian, "Who is this?" Li Qian chuckled and introduced, "Tai Lao, a senior sent by Shazhou Beast Control University, is temporarily responsible for my safety." After the introduction, he pointed at Niu Fenjin, "I think the most urgent task is to solve Brother Niu's problem first. He doesn't look very optimistic." Li Qian wanted to say that he looked like he was about to die, but when he said it, he was a little more tactful. "The ambulance has been called. It's probably coming soon." Niu Fenjin glanced at his body, smiled and said bitterly, "Now that the ambulance has been called, the next step is to wait." Li Qian felt a lot more relieved. He looked at Tai Lao and asked, "Tai Lao, can you find the mechanic behind you?" Tai Lao walked over, checked, and then said, "None of the 10 robots just showed signs of being contracted. The mechanics behind them should have controlled them through AI viruses, so reverse tracking is useless." Quote. Zhu Bingqing also heard Tai Lao's answer, and then said angrily, "Those guys from the Mechanical Duty Society are really cunning." Just as a few people were talking, several public security bureau cars roared over, and the one who took the lead was none other than Zhou Weiping. Li Qian looked at Zhou Weiping and twitched the corner of his mouth. "Prosecutor Zhou, you have made another timely rescue, just in time to clean up the mess. They are like this every time, arriving late, quite like some JCs in previous Chinese movies, always arriving after things are over, and then, sweeping the floor." Zhou Weiping heard the ridicule in Li Qian's words, scratched his head, and said with some embarrassment, "Sorry, we were a little slow to react." Li Chengyang was worried that Li Qian was young and energetic and said something he shouldn't have said, so he stepped forward with a smile and softened his words, "I can't blame you entirely. After all, you have limited manpower and are responsible for the security work of the entire Lingshui city. You came a little late, which is also normal." As soon as he finished speaking, Zhu Bingqing took advantage of the situation and added, "But someone is so stupid that he was plotted, attacked, and designed without even realizing it. In the end, Shiren and I had to take action to save his life. What a waste." 1. It was self-evident to whom her words were directed. She was just pointing at her nose and scolding her. Niu Fenjin felt ashamed and embarrassed after hearing this. If Chu Shiren and Zhu Bingqing hadn't teamed up to save him this time, he would have really wanted to reply. After saying that, it was not enough, Zhu Bingqing kept talking and continued, "I have warned you several times to be more careful, but you, left ear goes in and right ear goes out. This time it is okay, only the pet beast is seriously injured. If you don't fight to death with your pet beast, your life will be over." Seeing Zhu Bingqing scolding Niu Fenjin, Li Qian couldn't bear it and interrupted, "Teacher Chu, Teacher Zhu, what on earth is going on?" This. Zhu Bingqing hesitated when she heard the words. She didn't know how to respond. She turned her head and looked at Chu Shiren. Chu Shiren also didn't know how to reply, with an embarrassed look on her face. She forced a smile on her face, "No, nothing." I just found out that the Mechanical Profanation Society was wreaking havoc, so I took action to stop it, but I didn't think about it. If you are not good at studying, you will be embarrassed. Although he explained for a long time, Li Qian was not stupid. He knew exactly what the situation was. It could be seen from Chu Shiren's evasive eyes and hesitant tone that she was obviously deceiving herself. Seeing this, Li Qian smiled and was ready to find a reason and pass it off. Teacher Chu Shiren probably had something to hide, and he didn't insist on asking for answers. And there are some things that may not be a good thing to know. Just when he was about to take him away casually, Tai Lao had already noticed something. He said in a calm voice, "You don't need to ask them. If what I expected is correct, this matter can be done without the permission of the family elders. They can't say a word to you." After glancing at Li Qian, he continued, "And what this girl is trying so hard to cover up is actually nothing to you. After entering Shazhou Beast Control University, you will have it at your fingertips, and it will be countless times better than what she has behind her." Tai Lao's honest words made Chu Shiren even more embarrassed. What's even more helpless is that the three of them only know a rough idea of this matter, and the specific content may not be as much known as Tai Lao, an outsider. The atmosphere at the scene was stagnant because of Tai Lao's words. Fortunately, at this moment, the ambulance roared in. "Well, I'll go to the hospital at your expense. If you die, there will be someone to collect the body." Zhu Bingqing saw the ambulance arriving and immediately spoke, livening up the atmosphere. It was this way of activating the atmosphere that made Niu Fengjin so hurt that he almost died. "You two, clean up the scene." After giving instructions to his two subordinates, Zhou Weiping was also preparing to leave. "Well, I still have something to do in the bureau, so I have to leave first. I have something going on at school." Chu Shiren also made a poor excuse and prepared to leave the scene. Li Qian felt funny after hearing this. In the middle of the night, what could be going on at school or in the bureau? However, he did not expose it and allowed them to cover up the truth. "By the way, let me ask, how far has Da Zhuang's training progressed?" Zhou Weiping asked before leaving. Li Qian replied casually, "The progress is good. That koi of yours has an outstanding talent. According to the current accelerated progress, it is estimated that it will only take about a week to start preparing for evolution." After a while, a group of people left again. Seeing this, Tai Lao added, "If my prediction is correct, there should be an unstable rift hidden in Lingshui City." Unstable rift. Li Qian looked suspicious when he heard this, and was about to continue asking, but when he turned his eyes, he saw that Tai Lao had already walked away. Obviously, he had no intention of opening his mouth to explain Li Qian's confusion. Li Qian stopped asking further questions. Through the clue of unstable rift, he believed that he should be able to find out some information, and there was no need to break the pot and ask for the truth. The four of them returned to the training base. On the way, Li Qian frowned and thought. Unstable rift, Teacher Chu Shiren, Teacher Zhu Bingqing and Niu Fengjin, is this the secret they guard? Is this also the reason why Jijuhui is targeting Lingshui City? If this is the case, the entire Lingshui City may not be at peace in the future. Through this period of contact and preliminary understanding, Li Qian became more or less clear about the behavior of the Jadu society. This cult organization almost never stops until it reaches its goal. Tai Lao sat next to Li Qian and glanced at him. "Is this why you sought asylum at Shazhou Beast Control University?" Li Qian did not deny it and nodded. "Before this, I had noticed something was wrong. The reason why I made the request for escort was precisely for this purpose." There is no need to deny this kind of thing. And with Tai Lao's life experience, this matter cannot be hidden. I hope Tai Lao can take action at the critical moment to protect Lingshui City. After all, this is the place where I was born and raised. Li Qian continued to speak and said frankly, "This is another request I made to Shazhou Beast Control University." Purpose. Upon hearing this, Tai Lao thought for a moment and then responded, "Under the condition of ensuring your personal safety, if I can take action, I will not stand by and watch. Don't forget, I am also a member of the Beast Control University. Although I am just a gatekeeper, protecting the safety of ordinary people is also one of our responsibilities." Tai Lao's words aroused Li Qian's curiosity. "Tai Lao, you are not fooling me, are you? Are you really the guard of Shazhou Beast Control University?" Tai Lao replied without hesitation. I can't lie to you about this kind of thing, and once you go to Shazhou Beast Control University, you will know everything. Okay, Li Qian gave Tai Lao a thumbs up. Your Shazhou Beast Control University is really luxurious. Really? Tai Lao smiled noncommittally. That's because you don't know. There is a difference between a doorman and a doorman. As a doorman, even with my level of strength, I almost failed. Li Qian couldn't imagine it at all, and instinctively felt that Tai Lao would not deceive him, so he simply kept silent. On the other side, in the ambulance, Zhu Bingqing looked at Niu Fengjin, who had put on a ventilator and received fluids, and asked in a serious tone, "You didn't leak any information that shouldn't be leaked, did you?" Although I don't look very reliable on weekdays, I am never ambiguous when it comes to big matters. Niu Fengjin immediately expressed his stance. Don't worry, I didn't say a word. Hearing this, Zhu Bingqing exhaled. That's good. Next to them, the nurse and the emergency doctor listened to the conversation between the two, and Monk Zhong-er was confused. What kind of riddle are these two people playing? Ignoring the strange looks from the nurse and the emergency doctor, Zhu Bingqing continued, What's the situation over there now? I went to see him once, and an elder had already entered. Niu Fengjin gave Zhu Bingqing an okay gesture. Not far from the previous battle, in a private house, a figure opened the window and looked at the two security guards who were cleaning up the mess. At this moment, a cell phone ringtone suddenly rang. The figure in front of the window picked up the phone and asked in a somewhat unkind tone, Huang Shiqi, what's going on? A child of the beast-controlling family who has no knowledge or skills, and has just stepped into the leadership level, under unexpected circumstances. Come on, you actually let the other party run away. Sorry, this time, I was indeed careless and didn't take serious action in time, so he dragged me to the rescue. A gloomy voice rang on the other end of the phone, but, Huang-san, don't worry, this time, I didn't get nothing. What do you mean? The figure at the window named Huang-san immediately asked. Before taking action, I tracked that guy for a period of time. Through the follow-up investigation during that period, I actually had several suspicions. If I investigate them one by one, I believe it won't take long to find the real one. The place of sealing, Huang Shiqi said confidently. Huang-san was very rude and replied, How long will it take? 1 week at most, Huang Shiqi said firmly on the other side of the phone. After hearing this, Huang-san's face softened slightly. It's best to speed up the pace a little bit. The other side of the dimensional rift is almost ready. If the task cannot be completed due to delays on our side, how will the higher-ups treat us? You know it. Huang Shiqi couldn't help but shudder after hearing this. After returning to the breeding base, Li Qian did not check what the unstable rift was because it was already very late. The next day, he started training the koi as usual, and when he had time, he checked on the internet. There are many descriptions of unstable rifts on the internet. In the past, he just didn't pay attention to this aspect, so he knew nothing about it. Now, he paid attention, and it didn't take long for him to learn a lot of information. According to the description on the internet, which is a relatively unified statement, this unstable crack is relative to the dimensional crack. The so-called unstable crack is essentially a temporary dimensional crack that appears at a specific time or under specific conditions. This type of unstable crack is different from ordinary dimensional cracks. The time and method of opening are uncertain. Generally speaking, it has a certain regularity, such as appearing once every 6 months or a year, and the location is fixed. There are also some that are not fixed. Under normal circumstances, these dimensional cracks will be restrained by sealing formations. Due to the large number of unstable rifts, the federal government cannot manage them at all. Therefore, some unstable rifts can only be left alone. Slowly, as time goes by, some pet beasts in the dimensional rifts will pass through the unstable rifts. The rifts came to the ancestral star and formed some dangerous places on the ancestral star. There are probably extraordinary creatures with extremely terrifying levels inside, and their level of danger may be no less than some middle-level dimensional cracks. There are also some unstable cracks that, with the acquiescence of the federal government, have flowed into the hands of some large companies, large groups, large families, and large guilds, becoming a way for them to seize beast control resources. While Li Qian was training the koi, he was reading some information on the internet. Gradually, he sorted out the outline of the attack in his mind. The target of the Jijuhui this time is probably this unstable fissure in Lingshui City. And this unstable rift is in the hands of the families behind Chu Shiren, Zhu Bingqing and Niu Fenjin. After clarifying the context of the matter, Li Qian finally understood why Tai Lao would say that if you enter Shazhou Beast Control University, you can have things that are countless times better. Compared with unstable cracks, dimensional cracks are countless times better. And he also understood why Chu Shiren and the others were keeping secret. Because this unstable rift is the private property of the family behind her, Zhu Bingqing and Niu Fenjin. In order to prevent others from getting involved, it is normal to keep silent. At this point, the matter actually had a relatively complete clue, but Li Qian's brows were not completely relaxed. Because he still doesn't know why the Mechanical Profanation Society is focusing on this unstable rift. Is there something special about this unstable fissure? Or do they want to use this unstable rift to do something? If it was just about the unstable rift itself, Li Qian wouldn't be very worried. I'm afraid it will affect Lingshui City. Thinking of this, he couldn't wait to start training even more. With Tai Lao here, your own safety should be safe. But if you want to take the initiative and do something, you must accumulate more knowledge. Tai Lao's identity is here. It is already very rare for him to be able to protect his own safety. If he wants him to obey orders and hit wherever he is directed, he can't open his mouth. Li Qian knows that he doesn't have the face. In the final analysis, you still have to have your own foundation and strength. Time flies, 3 days have passed. Lingshui City has been a bit strange these 3 days, quiet and peaceful, but nothing happened. It's not that peace and quiet are bad, but it's a bit weird, not like the style of the Mechanic Society. Li Qian noticed this strangeness, but did not warn him. Again, neither the Public Security Bureau nor teacher Chu Shiren and the others are dull people. They cannot be unaware of things they can detect. There is no need for him to do anything extra. Li Qian knows very well what is the most important thing for him at this stage. So 3 days later at night, around 10 o'clock, he went out with Fatian, Mr. N, and his father Li Chengyang. They came to the abandoned Xinxing Pet Paradise. The abandoned paradise now is quite different from the first time I saw it. Although most of the area is still dilapidated, the area near the northeast corner has been cleaned up. It has obviously been repaired and the wall has been added. Several people got out of the car and approached on foot. Before they reached the place, they heard the sound of running water. Has it been completed? Although the fact was right in front of him, Li Qian still asked. Mr. N chuckled and said quite proudly, when it comes to beast control or breeding, I can't be ranked, but I still have some experience in business matters. In fact, the progress here is far beyond my expectations. If it were not for testing, it would be delivered at noon today. When Li Qian heard this, he became interested. The old man continued. The biggest problem with artificial waterfalls is water. Originally, we were planning to use recycled water directly. The so-called recycled water, to put it bluntly, is the same pool of water that is reused over and over again. This kind of stagnant water is naturally inferior to living water with a source. Li Qian listened patiently, and the old man kept talking, but when we were inspecting 3 days ago, we accidentally discovered that there is an irrigation canal near the water slide, which leads directly to the Lingshui River not far away. So we simply gave up the water recycling plan and directly used the water from the irrigation canal. We just didn't know whether the artificial waterfall formed by this amount of water could be used for evolution. Li Qian did not give a direct answer, but circled around the 100-meter high water slide. Watching the water rushing down the slide, he nodded slightly. There should be no problem. I will test it tomorrow morning to see if it can be used. In addition, he is also planning to do other experiments here tomorrow. He plans to set up a frost and fire array here as well. Because Niu Fenjin was seriously injured and was still lying in the hospital at the moment, he had to do the arrangement this time by himself. Of course, this was part of his plan. If you arrange a Frostfire magic circle here, you will have 2 places where you can evolve the Frostfire demon salamander. Not only can evolution matters be arranged more flexibly, but it can also increase a lot of concealment. He planned to place this second Frostfire array behind the water slide. The water slide is 100 meters high, with 4 paths closed and a width of 7 or 8 meters. It is very suitable for covering the evolution of the Frostfire salamander. Evolving here will provide better concealment than in the breeding base. Li Qian knew very well that there was absolutely no way that the Mechanical Profantion Society would cease to exist. They must be brewing something. In order to avoid being affected, and to be able to assist one or two at critical moments, Li Qian prepared a large amount of evolutionary materials, enough to support more than a dozen evolutions. After being prepared, he drove alone to the water slide the next morning. The water slide has been surrounded by a wall made of cement masonry. Near the main road outside, an opening was opened and a guard box was built. Mr. and posted trustworthy people to guard it. He made a special statement today, so no one would disturb him in the entire water slide area, except for the exit. Even Tai Lao had consciously retreated outside this range. In fact, coming from the beast-taming university, he knew this taboo better than others. Moreover, at this moment, Li Qian had only received the invitation letter and the notice, but had not gone to study, so even though he was very curious, he had no intention of snooping around to avoid unnecessary trouble. Li Qian came to the water slide, looked at the artificial waterfall that was already fully operational, and nodded with satisfaction. Through the 2 examples of Kizi and AFU, he had some experience in the evolution of koi to green-scale dragon. Based on this experience, he judged that the situation of the artificial waterfall in front of him should be able to support evolution. Of course, compared with climbing the 100-foot waterfall in Yunwu Mountain, the difficulty will definitely be reduced a lot, but I don't know if it will affect the strength and potential of koi after evolution. This potential may not be visible on the surface, but if it breaks the limit in the future, the impact will be very large. Some pets that evolve by tricks may not even reach the theoretical upper limit of racial potential. Since he had come here, Li Qian naturally would not hesitate. He directly summoned Kizi and Xiaoliu and asked the 2 beasts to guard the surroundings. Then he released Tantu, Jinyi, Jinner, and Jinsen, and let them adapt to the environment in the pool at the bottom of the water slide. After doing this, he directly took out the energy stone and the materials for setting up the frost and fire magic circle. After taking a deep breath, his eyes suddenly focused and he began to set up the formation. Li Qian is already familiar with the layout method of the Frostfire array and the details that need to be paid attention to. I have practiced several times before, but all under the guidance of Niu Fenjin. This time, the meaning of setting it up alone is different. Li Qian hopes that it will succeed once and for all, and he is confident. The first thing to do when setting up the formation is to outline the formation pattern, which is the basis of the formation. If we use the human body as an analogy, it is the meridians. Li Qian began to outline the formation patterns. He took out the jade talisman that had been polished into a rectangular shape in advance and used a sharp knife to carve on it. The shape of the carving had already entered his mind. It was one of the 15 patterns of the Agni Fire array. It didn't take long for the energy jade talisman to be carved. The patterns of flying dragons and phoenixes on it looked quite mysterious. In fact, at the beginning, Li Qian was also curious about where these runes came from. After Niu Fenjin's explanation, I had a general understanding. It didn't surprise him that these runes did come from dimensional cracks in the earliest times. It was excavated from some ruins in the dimensional rift by archaeologists who risked their lives. They cracked these runes and had the earliest formations. By far, this is also the largest source of various formations. In addition, another source of formations is formation masters. Some formation masters can also innovate and create new formations on the basis of summarizing the previous formations. The Frostfire array came from this. At first, Niu Fenjin spent a lot of thought to learn this array. An energy jade talisman was completed, and Li Qian used his mental power to communicate the formation patterns in it. As communication was established, a faint halo immediately appeared on the energy jade talisman. This layer of halo is proof that the jade talisman meets the standards. If there is a problem with the outline of the array pattern, causing the energy flow to be blocked, the energy jade talisman will not have a halo, or the halo will be dim. A good start, the first energy jade talisman was successfully outlined. Seeing this, Li Qian nodded with satisfaction. After outlining the first energy jade talisman, he continued to outline the second one without stopping. In this way, it took him nearly 3 hours to finally complete the outline of all 30 energy jade charms needed. I just used up 2 energy jade talismans. It's pretty good. After outlining all the energy jade talismans, he couldn't help but let out a long breath. He was also very satisfied with the 2 waste energy jade talismans. This result was beyond his expectation and made him overjoyed. After getting all the energy jade talismans, he did not continue to the next step, but walked around and observed. On the one hand, it is to step into the ground for the formal arrangement later, on the other hand, it is also to relax and adjust and take a short rest. After spending about 10 minutes and feeling that his condition was almost adjusted, Li Qian continued to make arrangements. He first picked out all 15 energy jade talismans, arranged them on the ground according to a certain pattern, and then added fire attribute energy stones to the 7 node locations. After doing this, he used his mental power to communicate with the formation patterns in the energy jade talisman and activated the formation. As the formation started, crimson light began to fill the air, which was a sign that the fire formation was successfully deployed. The completion of the layout of the fire array means at least that half of the work has been completed. Next, just follow the gourds pattern, arrange the frost magic array, and finally connect it together. The Frostfire magic array is complete. Things went smoothly, and it took about half an hour for Li Qian to set up the frost array. After finishing these things, it was already noon. Li Qian did not continue. He made a phone call and went out. After a while, Fatty An stumbled over with a smile on his face and food in his hands. So happy, Li Qian took the food from Fatty An's hand and asked casually. Fatty An chuckled and responded, "Tantu will evolve soon, so I'm naturally happy." As he continued to speak and asked with some pity, "By the way, Qianzi, you really don't want to think about it and let the charcoal head evolve into a Frostfire salamander?" "I don't suggest it." Li Qian shook his head, then spoke and gave an explanation. Evolving into a Frostfire demon has a half chance of failure, but evolving into a blue-scale dragon is a sure thing. With the charcoal head with qualifications, there is really no need to take risks. There were 2 other reasons that Li Qian didn't mention. First, Tantu has completed all the training before evolution, and his target is the blue-scaled dragon. At this time, if he changes the evolutionary route, the previous training will be in vain. The second is also the most critical point. Compared with Aaron, Tantu's mental attributes are not outstanding. After the evolution of Xiaoliu and Aaron, Li Qian has accumulated a certain amount of experience and is almost certain. The success rate of the evolutionary route from koi carp to Frostfire salamander is indeed affected by willpower. The stronger the willpower, the higher the probability of its evolutionary success. Whether it's Xiaoliu or Aaron, with their willpower, even without Lu Changfang's soul bond assistance, the success rate is far more than half. But Tantu, that's not necessarily the case. As long as the road ahead is clear, there is no need to take this risk. Oh, that's really a pity. After hearing Li Qian's words, Fatty An couldn't help but feel regretful, and then murmured to himself, "I heard that the Frostfire salamander has a chance to evolve into an ice and fire dragon. Then bet it's a holy spirit level beast." Li Qian smiled and reassured Fatty An, from the Frostfire salamander to the ice and fire dragon, there is still no clue as to how it evolved. What he said is not nonsense. The entire world of beast control has indeed not yet studied the evolution method from the Frostfire demon salamander to the ice-fire giant dragon. Even whether the ice and fire dragon really evolved from the Frostfire salamander is just a guess in the breeding industry. At present, human breeders have not seen the evolution process, but have seen some small groups, mixed with ice and fire dragons and Frostfire salamanders. And whether it is an ice-fire giant dragon or a Frostfire demon salamander, their attributes are both ice and fire, which is hard to ignore. Of course, it is also possible that this information has been confirmed, and some breeders have even developed an evolution method, but it has not been announced yet. After a pause, following this association, he continued, "Even if a breeder researches it, the price will probably be prohibitive. The most important thing is that since the Frostfire salamander can evolve into the ice and fire dragon, then there is no subsequent evolution of the blue-scale dragon. I don't believe this. If you still want the Frostfire salamander, You can wait until your strength reaches the elite level and have a second beast controlling space before you consider it. Seeing that Fatty An was still unwilling to give in, Li Qian compromised and said, "Anyway, whether it's the blue-scaled dragon or the Frostfire demon salamander, it's not difficult for us. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more."